W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Bills Dolphins on Sunday.
I don't think this is a Bills team that's scared of the Dolphins.
We have a team that just dropped 70 points in an NFL game, and they're underdogs this week.
The Bills' defense is the hardest test for Miami, but Miami's offense is the hardest test for Buffalo so far this season.
You know, another one of the good young quarterbacks in the league, and it'll be a big challenge for us come Sunday.
If you can force him to come off his first read and hold the ball, it's a totally different ball game.
Mike Danger.
Tua's a record needle that's stuck in this groove right now. How do you jar him out of that groove? Make the record skip a beat.
For everybody going to the game for Bills Mafia, where's your contract?
It's going to be on a good defense. It's going to be on the Bills to change that narrative and then capitalize on those mistakes. Hopefully you can do that.
Gene Battaglia.
Oh, Sabres hockey.
Oh, who cares?
Thursday night football.
NFC North showdown between the Lions and Packers.
Braves All-Star Ronald Acuna Jr. became the first 40-70 player in Major League Baseball history last night.
The Cubs continue to suck after being good.
And now Damian Lillard is a Milwaukee Buck.
Are you going to stay up until 1 a.m. and watch the Ryder Cup?
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome on into the Sports Bar. A good day to you. We appreciate you checking out the sports leader at 95.7 FM, AM 950 in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Our video stream at The Fan Rochester on YouTube and Twitch. I'm Mike Danger. That's Gene Battaglia, and a good day to you, Gene.
I'm now confused what Tasker said. Like, I didn't even realize, like, what time is I think he's got it backwards. I mean, it's not at 1 a.m., right? They're ahead of us, the TV coverage.
Right.
Yeah.
So?
Oh, it starts at 1:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Not till, if you want to watch the beginning of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you that much of a diehard golf fan? Do you have that much red, white, and blue coursing through your veins that you're going to make the sacrifice to stay up that late to watch Ryder Cup golf?
No, you don't think you stay up that late. You set your alarm, and then you're watching it overnight.
That's still a pretty big ask.
That's a huge ask.
Yeah. I woke up in the middle of the night, 1 a.m. You ever have this happen to you where it's peak sleep season? It's so nice. You crack the window open, you get some of that cool air coming in, that cool fall air. It's just the best. But with that cracked window, you hear more things happening outside your home. And last night, right around 1 a.m., it was the car alarm. Somebody's car alarm. Just just going constantly. And it jarred me out of my sleep. I got up, and I'm like, is that my car? Because it sounded close by. And so I became this delusional neighbor that you see from time to time. I'm staggering out to the driveway, looking around like, where's it coming from? Like sleepwalking, essentially. The alarm, is going off in my house because I left without turning off just a disaster of a night, all because I had the window cracked open a little bit. I probably wouldn't have heard it any other way. It wasn't my car. I don't know whose car it was. I don't know whose alarm it was. I don't know if I was making the whole thing up. Maybe it was. Maybe it was all in my head. Right next to the dogs barking, I've got a car alarm going off inside my head in the middle of the night.
Does the car alarm actually ooh, I'm going to steal this car. Oh, no, I'm running away. Like, we've become so immune to the car alarm. It's like, that actually might be somebody trying to steal a car?
Right. It's like... when the phone rings now, you're immune to that as well. Like, there are things that used to just jar us that really don't jar us anymore. Like, imagine when your phone rings and the first word you hear is congratulations and you're hanging up your phone. Never used to be that way. Congratulations, click. You don't even let them finish the first word. You just know, oh, God, this is what I get for answering the phone. It never used to be that way. And you're right. Car alarms used to, jar people. Like, oh, my God, that's loud. Now it's like, oh, that's annoying. What are we doing? Oh, don't even bother to check to see if somebody's actually trying to break into your car. Yeah, so that was me, deranged, staggering in the middle of my driveway, just looking around like, what's going on? Where's it coming from? And then it just stopped. Or maybe it was all in my head. I don't know. But nothing like a bowl of cereal at 1 o'clock in the morning.
That could be it. Well, now if that happens, you can just flick on some golf there.
Maybe that's the plan.
I don't think you're not staying up till 1 a.m. My advice, you set your alarm for 3 or 4 in the morning, unless you don't need to watch the first holes. And by the time you get up, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, that's when we'll be watching. I mean, I did not set my alarm for New Zealand down under for the Women's World Cup final, but I was up at 7 and caught the very end of it, so I'm sure that's how we'll be kind of playing it this week.
Well, if you're a never-do-well in my neighborhood, go ahead and set off some car alarms right around 1:30, and that'll be sure to get me up, jar me out of my sleep, and maybe I'll punch up some Ryder Cup at that point.
That's good to know that your neighborhood, a car alarm could go off and nobody would flinch.
I flinched. I got up. Maybe I was the only one. Or like I said, maybe I was imagining the whole thing. I don't think I was, but I was the only one in my house that woke up. And I woke up like almost in a panic, like, what's going on? Where is it coming from?
Was not Walter on alert, though? That should be the dog.
Walter. A car alarm isn't going to jar him out of his slumber. No. No, he needs to hear voices. He needs to hear rustling. If he hears any of that, then maybe you'll get a bark out of him. And you know, that's rare. That he's soft. He's
getting old.
He's
isn't he?
the baby of the house. You should see it. It's disgusting. I want to call Animal Protection Services. Sandy holds him like a baby all throughout the house. I can't do the thing. I can't cook dinner. I'm holding the baby. Get him away from the stove. I don't want dog hair in dinner. But there she is, holding the baby, holding Walter. He's a baby. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, Gino.
What would a psychologist say about that, Mike Danger?
About what I just said, or about what she's doing?
No, what she's doing, babying the dog after the two girls are kind of grown up now.
Yeah. Look, this is the woman who said, I don't want a dog. I've never had a dog. We're not dog people. I don't want a dog in our house, ruining our house, ruining our things. Like, no, you don't understand. It'll be really, really good. It'll be awesome, and you'll love it. And here it is. I hate when I'm always right. It's hard being right all the time. She loves that dog more than anybody else in the house. It's not even close. It's not even close. Well, we welcome you into the Sports Bar. We've got a great show lined up for you, and we appreciate you joining us here every afternoon from 3 until 6. We've got the Bills and the Dolphins to talk about and get ready for on Sunday afternoon. And when we do that, we want to talk to the best and brightest minds out there. Here's what's on tap in the Sports Bar, brought to you by Three Heads Brewing. On tap at Three Heads, Rocktoberfest Lager. Malty, sweet, and such a treat. Great for this time of year. Get it before it's gone. Right down the street from Three Heads Brewing on Atlantic Avenue, you can find Thad Brown from News 8, and he'll be joining us at 4:25.
Yeah, so we'll get his thoughts on this matchup. Biggest since, well, at least this season, right? Bills and Dolphins. But as far as Bills-Dolphins game, my gosh, you can go back to the Kelly era until we had one. And yes, we had the playoff game last year, but that really didn't have kind of the the winner of this game might actually go on to win a championship. The Dolphins were on fumes at that point. This is a much different Dolphin team, and we'll get Thad's thoughts on what the Buffalo Bills should do. This Sunday, we'll give you a practice update here in just a little bit. Thad Brown from News 8 in the 4 o'clock hour.
We'll be joined by Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy. Talk some fantasy football here in about 15, 20 minutes or so. Are you a Jacksonville Jaguars owner who's in full-blown panic mode through 3 weeks? Andy can help you talk you off the ledge on that one.
I think I set a record for most points on the bench last week. I'm not even upset at myself. Like, who thought that Devon Achane, we didn't even know how to pronounce his name, but now, okay, you put him in this week? Like, where's the line when it comes to putting in Miami Dolphin players coming off a 70-point game? Oh, they're playing one of the best defenses in the NFL. That's not biased. That's what the Buffalo Bills are. We'll get Andy's thoughts on who to play coming up here as we want to optimize your lineups.
Andy Behrens joining us from Yahoo Fantasy here at 3:25. You can pull up a stool and join us anytime this afternoon. 866-4FAN, 4FAN. That is our phone number, 866-4326. We're also on Elon's Twitter called X. You can send us an update there at The Fan Rochester. We love engaging with you there, unless you want to just send me anti-Chicago Bears memes. I've gotten plenty. It's okay. I get it. My team is bad. You don't have to keep reminding me. All my friends are texting me. This is the new one. Hey, did you see this one? Hey, did you see the picture of Getsy saying that he's trying to build something special with the offense, and a picture of Luke Getsy Photoshop playing with Lincoln Logs? Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we get it. They're trying to build something, and they're playing with an erector set. Good. Thank you.
Oh, it's going to be bad when Sean Payton, coming off a game where they gave up 70, will beat you.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to any of it, man.
No, but you're going to be in Buffalo, and you're going to have a good time with your daughter.
That's right. And I've decided I'm going to commit. I'm going to get some Bills gear. I'm going to buy a Bills jersey.
Ooh.
I might go with the Diggs. I might my favorite Bill is Stephon Diggs. I might go with the Diggs jersey. If I can find one, I'm gonna probably get one.
I was gonna I have like an EJ Manuel one I could lend you, and like people could be like,
I don't like that. I don't like the Peterman. I want to commit to a guy that I actually like on the team. I've always done that with Bear jerseys. I've always gone with the guys that I get a Peanut Tillman, a Devin Hester. Go with the guys that that are special players.
Do you want me? I could lend it to your daughter because it's number 3. People will be like, oh, Damar Hamlin. No, it's actually EJ Manuel on the back.
No, she actually is more worried about what to wear than anything else. We talked about this yesterday. She sent me text messages during the show. Hey, Dad, when can we go shopping for some Bills gear? Well, I can't do it now. Kind of tied up for the next few hours, but we'll get to it. And she's asking me, like, what are you going to wear? I haven't really thought about it until this very moment. I'm like, oh, yeah, maybe I will get some Bills gear. But she's looking at it, and I'm like, look, I can ask, I can ask Gene, I can ask Mr. Duffy, I can ask anybody if they want to lend you a jersey. It's like, no, that's okay. So we'll get her a jersey and we'll have a good time. And I've gotten the direct messages and the private messages from plenty of Bills fans. Yacht Rock John, Captain Obvious. Yep. We heard the ketchup and mustard ceremony is on. Pinto Ron is going to be there. So if you want to, of course he's going to be there, but if you want to drop by, here's what you do, and here's the directions. The tailgate is on.
Oh my gosh. It never even crossed my mind to go to that. Like, you're going to go to that.
If it's her first time, I mean, isn't that what every first timer should do? To be an inaugural visit?
No,
you don't think so?
No, because that's like Bo from the B was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna jump through a tape." I'm like, no, it's not like that at all. This is honestly like it's. I hate how we're kind of painted like that, but that was the byproduct of 17 years. Think of it this way in a business standpoint, right? Your product is so bad, yet everybody went and. You had to come up with some alternative fun, and oh wow, that Bills fan base is pretty fun, even though their team is awful. Well, now the team's pretty good. I don't know, Danger. It's going to be beautiful that day. Just bring you got that tiny little grill. Bring some meat you can grill and have some cold ones. You'll have some fun just hanging out.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about how much fun we're going to have. That's a given, and I'm excited for her to take it all in. And just, more than anything, be a part of the atmosphere inside the stadium, which is the thing she will remember more than anything. Just the electricity of being a part of that game. That'll be fun.
Oh, and there will be, I'm sure, a story or two.
Yeah, no question. There was a stat, and I can't find it anywhere, but it's a stat that teams that have scored 60 or more points in the NFL are like winless against the spread the following week.
Of course. This is where people love offense and they jump right in on offense. And this is the highest over-under on the board. And yes, you have two offenses that can move the ball, but last I checked, Buffalo has a pretty good defense. And Sean McDermott, last I checked, he's the head coach and the defensive coordinator. He's going to want to play the finger quote complimentary football. It's 53.5. I think that's the easiest bet on the board. It is not going to get above. I don't think it's going to go over on this game. I think it's going to be last possession. I don't think the Dolphins are going to roll over. I don't think Bad Josh is going to show up either. I think that, honestly, if anything, the Bills might be a little too conservative going in.
You know what else? Another stat that crossed my feed that I found interesting. If you compare his stats from last year at this time to this year at this time, Tua's stat line, virtually identical. That Tua, the first 3 weeks of last season, was doing the exact same thing that he's doing the first 3 weeks of this season, just lighting it up, getting it out of his hands quickly. And again, it goes to what we were talking yesterday about kind of knocking him out of his groove a little bit when we had Armando Salguero on with us. Like, if you can get him flustered, if you can get him off schedule, if you can get him to look at his second read and force him to hold on to the ball a little bit longer, that's where he struggles. And that's going to be the task mainly for Sean McDermott and his defense, to figure out ways that they can put pressure on him enough so that he doesn't know what to do with the football when he has it. That's how you affect Tua. Because last year, he started off hot. He got hurt, but teams figured him out. And this year, he's starting off hot. Teams haven't yet figured him out. I think the Bills are the team that can figure him out. They've done it before. They could do it again. And other teams, other good defenses will slow him down. It's not sustainable. What he's doing right now, playing at an MVP level, come on. It's a one-read quarterback. It's Tua. We kind of know who he is. His stats are nice. He's playing well. But we know who he is.
The Dolphins know who he is. It's a very big story that we're all glancing past because, I don't know, we were focused on Justin Herbert and we were focused on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. The contract. He never got the contract. So if he does play at an MVP level, oh boy, the Dolphins are really over a barrel because Tua could just say, yeah, you know what? What Dak Prescott did, I'm going to do the same thing. Or he's going to become the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
If he keeps doing what he's doing.
It's a fact.
Yeah, no question. It'll be interesting to see if the Bills can slow down that offense. Lots of speed, Tua getting rid of the ball quickly, and it'll be interesting to see if Josh Allen can play within himself the way he has the last 2 weeks and take what the Dolphins defense gives him and keep that offense of Miami on the sideline. Long, sustained drives, use the running game effectively. It should be a memorable game. And even if it doesn't go the Bills' way, even if it is a loss for the Bills on Sunday, it's not the end of the road. You always have that Week 18 game to look forward to.
Are you kidding me? October right now looks great for Buffalo because at the beginning of the year, you're thinking, oh, gosh, you got to go to London. Oh, no, here comes Brian Dable. Okay, Jacksonville, London, long trip. Not a gimme, but you shouldn't fear that. You shouldn't fear the Giants, whoever's coaching that team. You get the Patriots on the road, and then you get the Buccaneers on a short week? That should be 4-0. So if the Buffalo Bills lose, my expectation is...
You're a 6-2 team?
Yeah, you're a 6-2 team heading to Cincinnati.
Not too bad. If you can get that, that's not too bad. I think a lot of people would sign up for that. However you get there, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you don't want to lose the divisional games, but you do have that final week of the season in Miami to clinch it if you need it. We've got our usual fare on tap this afternoon as well. I should mention that we have a round of shots coming up during happy hour. We'll clean up around here and get to the stories that fall through the cracks through the course of the afternoon. Some news and notes from the NFL with appetizers, a few players getting healthier, and some takes on tap with I'll drink to that. That's happening before 4 o'clock. Fantasy football talk with Andy Behrens on the way next here in the Sports Bar. Gino, what are you looking to get out of Andy Behrens here as we look ahead to tonight's Week 4 kickoff, Thursday Night Football between the Packers and the Lions?
Well, that was two different games that Jordan Love played, and it's the Saints, right? So Jordan Love, short week, trust level. I think we know what we're going to get in Detroit, right? Laporta is now a must-play on that offense. Pretty much Detroit is a very comfortable play regardless of the opponent. So maybe Andy is wrong, but I think tonight is actually very watchable. But I don't know what to make of Jordan Love at this point. Probably you have a better quarterback, but how does that affect everybody else around a Packer team that's been, quite frankly, banged up as much as anybody in the league here?
Yeah, expecting to see Aaron Jones, expecting to see Christian Watson for the first time this year. Jordan Love has been good, not great. I'd say he's been more than serviceable for fantasy purposes. It is a home game for Green Bay. They probably do have that last game of the season from last year still on their minds, fresh wounds from that. So we'll get Andy's perspective on what that might look like tonight and who you want to get in your lineups. And also, like, look, when we play fantasy, our worlds kind of collide here when we talk about legalized sports wagering. I mean, I have a feeling there's some over-under and some player prop bets that Andy might be able to help us out with tonight as well. And those tight end prop bets, I might smash the over on both of the yardages for Laporta and for Green Bay's tight end.
Well, it's funny. Like, go back to the trade deadline. Yeah, we were like, wow, this is a Detroit team that's in contention. And why did they let go of Hawkinson? Well, you knew what you had there in Laporta.
Yeah. So Andy joins us here next in a couple few, and we'll talk some more fantasy football with him. Thad Brown from News 8 joins us next hour. We'll continue our Dolphins and Bills talk.
I want to give the Bills practice update here as today everyone practiced, with the exception of Jordan Poyer. He is out with knee soreness, so we'll get the let me see, did it come through yet? No, it did not. So the official Thursday report did not come through yet, and we'll take a look at Friday's report when that comes out about the status of Jordan Poyer, but everybody else should be okay.
Cool. And I know we'll have some sound here from some Bills defenders in your sports update, which is on the way next, along with Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, glad you're with us at 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports.
Everyone practicing, with the exception of Jordan Poyer. He is out of the practice field today with knee soreness. We'll get an update tomorrow on Poyer. Linebacker Terrell Bernard on the Miami Dolphins.
They got a great offense, obviously, explosive at all levels. They got guys that can score anytime they touch the ball. They want to get their guys open in space, and create mismatches and things like that. So we'll do, what we need to do this week to prepare for that.
Now, Bernard was honored yesterday as the Player of the Week. Today, Tyler Bass named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month for September. Sabres hockey tonight. They play in Pittsburgh on the Major League scoreboard. One game with playoff implications. The Diamondbacks trailing the White Sox 3-1 in the fourth. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
When you go back and watch it, it seemed like every other play was a big play and they were scoring, and honestly looked like they was out there having fun. And it was fun to watch. Literally every other play was scoring, so it's crazy. We just got to be patient, keep constant pressure on them, and when and if it turns into a drop back game or they have to drop back, we just need to take our opportunities and just take advantage of it.
There's Buffalo Bills defensive tackle Ed Oliver talking about the Miami Dolphins, fresh off their 70-point effort against the Denver Broncos. Which Miami Dolphins will you be looking to insert into your fantasy football lineup come this weekend? And what about tonight's matchup at Lambeau? You have the Green Bay Packers hosting the Detroit Lions to kick off Week 4. As we do every Thursday afternoon at this time, we welcome in Andy Behrens from Yahoo Fantasy Sports to help set your lineups and talk some football as Week 4 gets underway tonight. Andy, Lambeau Field, it's the Lions, it's the Packers. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate you giving us some of your time. Tell us why you're in on both tight ends in tonight's game, Andy.
Well, it's far easier with Sam Laporta because I've never not been in on Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
This was my guy coming into the season. I probably have more Sam Laporta shares than anyone. And I don't know, like you could say this is because I went to Iowa and I'm partial to Iowa tight ends, but I've also been watching him for his entire collegiate career. He's one of the best yards after catch tight ends I've ever seen. He's really gifted, and his the stats profile coming into the league wasn't great because Iowa's offense is obviously a huge national joke, right? But he's fantastic, and you've seen it immediately. And one of the great things about tight end development at Iowa is they come into the league and they're just ready to do everything. So like they were running behind Laporta on the goal line in the opener. He doesn't come off the field. He's a huge receiving talent. He's caught at least 5 balls in each week. He was the tight end 1 in week 3. He's really good, and we're going to be starting him for the rest of the season. Luke Musgrave is another guy on the Green Bay side who also doesn't come off the field and has really claimed that job. He's been a little clunkier as a receiver. Like he's had some plays downfield where he actually, kind of stumbling and bumbling. But the numbers have been there. And the snaps have really been there. So he's a guy who's almost certainly going to squeeze into tight end 10, tight end 12 before the end of the season. Also just a huge talent who rarely ever exits play.
Andy Behrens, Yahoo Fantasy, our guest, as a pretty interesting matchup tonight, Detroit and Green Bay. And on the other side, all right, the Packers pulled it out last week against the Saints. And your thoughts on Jordan Love? And, hey, he's going to get some help tonight, we think. Aaron Jones coming back, and it looks like Christian Watson, maybe that would be the debut for Watson, both of them with hamstrings. So you would hope that they're ready, good to go. Your thoughts on the Packers lineup here and who to play tonight, Andy?
I think it's more likely that Aaron Jones is ready to fully be Aaron Jones. There's been a little bit of talk that maybe Christian Watson comes back on a pitch count. Who knows? Because sometimes those things get thrown out the window when you're actually in a close game. But Aaron Jones seems like he's really going to be good to go. And if you'll recall, after he got injured in week 1, he was kind of clowning on the sidelines a little bit. He downplayed the seriousness of it. So I'm not surprised to see him back. He was the centerpiece of the offense in the opener, and I think he's just the sort of player who can be a young quarterback's best friend. So I really think he's a huge addition, an underrated addition, who was really underdrafted this year, like underdrafted relative to where he's always finished in fantasy. So I think Jones is a huge win getting him back. And we'll see with Watson, right? Because they've developed a little something with Jaden Reed, and they've got a little something going with Romeo Dobbs. So like this is just, I don't know, it's kind of a luxury to get Watson back, an incredible athlete. So this offense is getting really fun, and Love has been maybe not always as good as the stats would indicate, but he's certainly been plenty good. And Green Bay fans can feel really, really good about the promising start that they're off to. He's become kind of a fringy fantasy factor as well.
Andy, I was talking to a friend about their fantasy team earlier, and she was telling me that she went all in on Trevor Lawrence as her QB1, and she's all in on the Jags. And, through 3 weeks, obviously, she's a little bit nervous about what she has coming up here for the rest of the season, knowing that they haven't quite lived up to their potential. And I know this is something that you recently wrote about at Yahoo. Tell us why we should or should not be hitting the panic button right now on Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's funny. There's a ton of panic out there about Trevor Lawrence specifically. I think he's one of the most asked about players in my social feeds. I got to tell you, I think he is just a screaming buy in fantasy right now if you're struggling at the position. That guy is making wow throws every week. If you look at, I don't think they're everything, and I don't think they always tell the full story, but if you look at like PFF grades on Trevor Lawrence right now, I think he's the second highest graded quarterback in the league. He's made, I think it's the second most big time throws. He makes wow throws all the time. He's got a huge arm. Big part of the problem is that Jacksonville receivers have like 9 drops on the season, and 4 of them belong by Calvin Ridley. At least one of those was going to be a long touchdown. And then a couple weeks ago against the Chiefs, I think they had 4 or 5 balls that were like college touchdowns where like a receiver got a foot down in the end zone and didn't get the other foot. He's just been so close, and the ball is coming out of his hand beautifully. Like, I don't think Lawrence is a problem. I think that Calvin Ridley right now looks like a guy who missed a couple of years of football. And maybe that's a problem for a little while longer. I don't know. But as for Lawrence himself, I feel just really, really good about him.
Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy is our guest. Andy, I think I set a personal record for most points on the bench with Devon Achane last week. I'm not even upset. I mean, who could have seen that coming, obviously? But now we're faced with the question, all right, and this is the question I'm sure everybody's talking about. Miami, 70 points, something we haven't seen in our lifetime. How do you forecast the Dolphins here coming up, and where's the line in terms of playing Miami talent against a much better defense in Buffalo?
I think you're going to have to score with Miami, right? Like it's really hard to imagine a team holding them under like 27 points right now, like even a good defense, So I think if you're going to beat Miami, you've got to put up a number. Because you look at the way that they use Achane, the way that they're using Mostert, the way they get the most out of the extreme speed that's on that team. It's really impressive. Like the play design is beautiful. That is, for as long as they're healthy, and now they get Jalen Waddle back too. Like it's a ludicrously fast team. And Mike McDaniel is just drawing up the greatest stuff for them. So this is really fun. So I think in a general sense, you just sort of err on the side. Like if it's a coin flip between whether it's Achane or somebody else on that team, I think you got to side with the Dolphins and just say, I'm going to go with the team that can probably put up 30 plus. He in particular is, it's a bit of a challenge because almost everybody had him on the bench last week. He hadn't done anything in week 2. Right. And coming into the season, I looked at him as someone who would just be like a great guy to have on a roster in best ball, but you're never going to know when he's going to blow up because I didn't think they'd ever give him that much work. He's like a legit 5'8.5" and 185 pounds, and there just are not players of that size who play running back in the NFL with any volume. He's going to be an extreme outlier if he's somebody who gets a significant workload at that size. So we'll see. He just handled 22 touches. a player that size handling 22 touches, you wouldn't expect it to happen week after week, but who knows? It's just really fun and very dangerous offense.
Andy, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence being somebody that you would be a massive buy on right now. You would be looking to acquire him however you can do so. I watched that Cincinnati game on Monday, and I know Burrow isn't 100%, but seeing him get Jamar Chase back involved and knowing that a guy like T. Higgins has been relatively quiet, is that another opportunity to buy low on a player when you see that Cincinnati offense maybe starting to click here if you see Burrow getting a little bit healthier here week by week?
Yeah, hopefully we actually do see Burrow get legitimately healthier. I mean, they were clearly, I thought, sort of play calling around some of his limitations a little bit, but a really impressive game from him, and the commitment to get the ball in the hands of Jamar Chase was really, really nice to see, because there was a little buy low window on Jamar Chase, because I was starting to see a bunch of questions about him, and was this a mistake in the first round? And, not panic exactly, but people really questioning exactly what this was going to look like. So great to see the big game from him. I do think that buy low window exists on T. Higgins a little bit. I would just caution people that, like, Higgins has been, I don't know, there's an idea of T. Higgins that exceeds the actual production from T. Higgins that we've seen to this point in his career. And I'm not even trying to insult him, because he's playing alongside Jamar Chase. It's really hard to put up numbers, but he's been like an 1,100 yard, 6 touchdown guy. And we don't always treat him that way. Like, people treat him as if there's a 1,400 yard season coming, and maybe there is, but I don't think it's this year. Nonetheless, if somebody's disgusted with him, yes, I think we are seeing Cincinnati getting back to what they've always been. Again, provided Joe Burrow gets healthier, I assume he will. But it's nothing new for Cincinnati to start slow. We went through this last year, not with an injury, but we did go through this with Cincinnati last year. And of course, their season ended in the AFC title game.
Andy Barron's Yahoo Fantasy is our guest. Rookie quarterbacks, I mean, you should try to avoid them unless you're in a super flex. And I don't think Bryce Young, and until he shows something, Anthony Richardson is, he's not healthy. Which leads me to the other guy in Houston, C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell. And wow, that is something we haven't seen down there in quite some time. And maybe that kind of lends to maybe the panic meter overall in Jacksonville losing to a team in Houston in the division. But Andy, your thoughts here on Houston here as far as a play this week, because, well, they get a much different test here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I'm fielding these questions about Trevor Lawrence and certainly about Justin Fields and any number of other quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud is always the other guy in the question. Hey, am I dropping Trevor Lawrence for C.J. Stroud? Hey, tell me about C.J. Stroud. So you can't argue with the numbers, right? He's a rookie quarterback who really doesn't have the training wheels on to the extent that other rookies might. He's attempting 40-plus passes per game. He's averaging 302 passing yards per game. And he's doing this with a receiving core that you might have said coming into the season, oh, man, are they really going to lean on Robert Woods? Well, Robert Woods has looked fine. And then Nico Collins and Tank Dell look like potential stars. A lot of us thought there might be something there with Nico Collins, but Tank Dell is really, he had some summer buzz, but I don't think anybody envisioned him having like back-to-back early season weeks like this. Like, he's looked spectacular. So they really have something. I do think that C.J. Stroud is more of a, we talk about dual threat quarterbacks all the time. He's a little bit more of a unit threat quarterback, right? It's pretty much going to be all with the arm. He's not going to do a lot for you on the ground. I do think there are going to be some bad weeks, right? He's a rookie quarterback. At some point he's going to take a step back. I actually think the other guy that you mentioned, Anthony Richardson, is still long-term a little bit more interesting, because when he plays, I love everything we've seen from the Colts and the way they're designing an offense around him and what he can do and maybe what he's going to struggle with early in his career. But man, they're getting him some really, layup throws off of rollouts. They're obviously giving him rushing opportunities. He's made the most of that. So that's a couple of interesting guys right there for fantasy.
Are there any tendencies around the Chargers, Andy? Because a guy that was top 3 at his position pre-draft in Austin Eckler hasn't played since week 1, limited in practice yesterday, saying it's a possibility he could play against the Raiders on Sunday, which fantasy owners would love, except, well, the Chargers have a bye week, and he's dealing with the high ankle that'll probably, be best served getting another week of rest before he returns to a full workload post-bye. But at 1-2, is there a sense of urgency to get Eckler on the field on Sunday against the Raiders to draw even at 2-2?
Yeah, I would assume there is, and it's not like I have inside info here, but I would assume they would want to get him on the field as quickly as possible because, it just hasn't happened for Josh Kelly, and he had a good matchup last week and he could not exploit it. And there's really not anything that they trust behind him. So I imagine that getting Eckler out there, even if it's like partial snaps, even if it's partial involvement, would mean a lot to that team because, as you say, they can't. Like the Chargers are a team that can lose to anyone, and they can't lose this one. Going into the bye at 2-2 is so different than going in at 1-3, especially given some of the Chargers' disappointments in the recent past, and they have the Mike Williams injury to manage around. So they've really got some question marks there right now. We think that Josh Palmer is the guy who steps in for Mike Williams, at least in the short term. He's been a trusted receiver for that team, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Eckler try to give it a go this weekend, even in a compromised state.
Andy, a game that a lot of us are going to be watching, I'm sure it'll be a national game, is New England and Dallas. In the narrative, here's Zeke Elliott going back to Dallas. And what was that Dallas run defense last week? I mean, do they tighten this up? Are you buying in on a Zeke Elliott revenge game here?
Yeah, pretty crazy. Like they lose Diggs to the ACL injury, and you're worried about their secondary, and then Arizona just ran all over them. And had, I thought a really great game plan and kind of caught Dallas flat-footed, and they were down a couple scores early. It wasn't just James Conner, like they had this really nice designed run that I think went for 50+ to Josh Dobbs. Like they were I'm talking about Arizona perhaps too much here, but they've been like surprisingly frisky, right? Like Arizona was the team that everybody had, they're not even trying to win, they're this, they're that. They're super competitive, and they gave Dallas all they could handle. So, yeah, I feel like New England has a nice little 1-2 punch now, and they're giving Zeke a lot of run. He had 16 carries last week, and Ramondre is still Ramondre. He's still getting most of the snaps, taking most of the touches. He's had some great yards after catch moments as a receiver this year, so that's a great 1-2 punch. And I guess I'd be a little nervous if I were Dallas because, again, like James Conner just ran through you and carved you up. And Arizona, again, a team we've all had jokes about, looked tremendous against that Dallas defense that has been pretty well hyped. So maybe that's just a case of a team simply not being ready for an opponent, but that's kind of damning as well.
Andy, we don't bring you on with us here in the sports bar to tell us to start Travis Kelce. We're doing that on Sunday night. But in terms of player props, knowing that Taylor Swift will be in the box at MetLife Stadium, 2-touchdown game at minimum for Kelce on Sunday night, wouldn't you say?
It's funny. We were talking about that while watching it. My wife took a great interest in the Bears game, not for the Bears, but because obviously Taylor Swift is there and all that. And we were talking about it, like there's got to be a little extra pressure to get to funnel the ball to Kelce, particularly in a non-competitive game like that. And I would think this one would be somewhat non-competitive as well. So. Yeah, hard to not consider Travis Kelce anything other than the tight end one moving forward. Of course, wild story. Perhaps if Sam Laporta's breakout would have been timed differently. I don't know. Maybe we'd see Taylor take an interest in the Lions tight end.
Yeah, well, at least that gives us another thing to kind of look forward to Sunday night.
Give it time, Andy. Yeah. We know her track record. I mean, it could be Kelce this week, Laporta next week. Then you see her with Darren Waller down the road. You never know.
No, we're in the Laporta era now.
We're in the Laporta era. Oh, I love it. Andy, tell us a little bit about tonight's action here. We know you guys are going to be on primetime here before tonight's kickoff, and of course part of the Sunday routine, and our Sunday routine gets earlier on Sunday with the game in London this weekend.
Yeah, I love that the London games are back. I love that Jacksonville is playing the first London game. They're home away from home. I'm super excited about it. But yeah, Thursday nights now, Fantasy Football Live, 75 minutes before kickoff of the Thursday night game. Just join us on Yahoo Sports. Good time. It's me. It's Matt Harmon. We're fielding your questions. We're giving you all the latest info that we possibly can.
Andy, are you still alive in Survivor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm alive in my two pools, and I've kind of split it up this week. I think I went. Who did I go with? I went with the Chargers in one, but I didn't want to double down on the Chargers. So who's the super chalky pick this week? I think I took Kansas City last week, but I veered away to another.
Did you do San Francisco over Arizona, or did you do Dallas over New England?
That's the one. That's the one. I have San Francisco in one, and I've got the Chargers.
A little bit of a hedge there, Andy. A little bit of a hedge. That we'll you know what? You're the fantasy expert. We're gonna allow it, obviously, but based on what you said about,
I never make it to week 5. This is crazy. That's why I wanted to hedge. I got to get one.
You're in October. Whoa, what's going on?
Uncharted territory. Andy, appreciate the time as always. Look forward to talking to you again next week, bud.
Thanks, guys. Good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Andy.
Love having Andy Barrett from Yahoo Fantasy on with us every week here in the Sports Bar, giving us some great fantasy football advice. And Gino, I'm telling you, if Dallas loses, I'm going to go back to that clip of Andy right there saying, "Yeah, I went with the Chargers in one league, and I went with the Niners in another." And it's like, yeah, he went with the games that it actually feels like they obviously should win those games.
I thought you were going to say look at Dallas's leaky run defense last week, and you have Ramondre and Zeke 1-2 for New England. Now, the difference here being that was a mobile quarterback in Arizona, and Mac Jones cannot move. I feel comfortable. I am not going to move off the mark. Dallas is the pick this week. Stick with the system. Trust the system. It can bring us results, Danger. I veered from the system last year, and it cost us. You're laughing.
I am laughing because I'm like, I don't know. Do I trust the system? Andy's a smart guy. He's hedging. Technically, according to our system, Andy's a loser. Hedgers are losers. What is that, Rule 5, Rule 6?
Rule 5. But Andy's doing this for fun. I mean, we take it a little. His bread and butter, obviously, is fantasy.
Yeah.
So, the Chargers? No, you shouldn't be going anywhere near that team right now.
Yeah, it's not going to be a home win for the Chargers because they don't have a home game. They're playing the Raiders in L.A. There will be more Raider fans at SoFi than Charger fans. That's a lock.
I'd love to see like the latest kind of, somebody did a study. Where's LA's loyalty? Well, it's the Lakers, obviously, than the Dodgers, but I would still think probably the Raiders are the most popular team out there.
Yeah, and then you've got USC and UCLA football probably before you even get to the Rams or the Chargers. Love having Andy on with us. We'll get that on demand for you here shortly. You can find the Sports Bar wherever you get your podcasts. Just search us out inside the free-to-download Odyssey app. Find the Sports Bar on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your shows. You will find all of our guest appearances and our full shows listed for you in podcast form. Thad Brown from News 8 joins us next hour. Stand by for that. And some takes on tap next.
Yeah, there's a story, Danger, we haven't gotten to this week, and it kind of stepped forward. And one reason why our show and others, it's unsavory, it's uncomfortable, and I'm just going to try to address this. I'm actually concerned of how the conclusion of this story with this player might end up here, the latest that's going on in Vegas right now.
Oh, yeah. Somebody stopped me in the hallway about this, and I was kind of blissfully ignorant to everything going on.
Oh, no.
You need to, yeah,
this
good.
is
I'm glad you're going to bring this up. I've got a couple of thoughts. One, a team right now that's a monumental choke job. And, man, I hate being wrong. I know you're going to have a good time if I am wrong and my Cubs are on the outside looking in when the postseason gets underway next week. But I just want to lay out some of the odds that were in their favor and now working against my Chicago Cubs here as they look for a wild card berth in Major League Baseball. And if you watch any NFL football, in the last few months, you've seen a surge in a certain play, a play that gets called on short yardage.
The tush push.
The tush push.
Yeah.
I'll explain why. There are a handful of teams that really don't need the tush push. And if you outlawed it from the NFL, if you made it illegal again, it wouldn't be a big deal. And I'll explain why. We're going to get to that and more next. I'll drink to that. It's on the way here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for everyone. 7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills practicing today, not practicing Jordan Poyer. He is the lone exception. He's got some knee soreness, limited today, Saran Neal and Ryan Bates. Ed Oliver wants to get his guys ready.
Not to try to make it anything more than what it is. It's just every man has their own job. Do your job. So my job is the key to guard. Whatever going on back there, that's not my job. So that's just make it as simple as it can. Like, everybody has their job, so do your job.
Sorry, Ed. Tyler Bass, AFC Special Teams Player of the Month for September. Sabres tonight in Pittsburgh on the Major League scoreboard. There is one game of playoff implications. That's the Diamondbacks. They are trailing against the White Sox 3-1. They're in the 7th. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Bills Dolphins on Sunday.
I don't think this is a Bills team that's scared of the Dolphins. We have a team that just dropped 70 points in an NFL game, and they're underdogs this week.
The Bills' defense is the hardest test for Miami, but Miami's offense is the hardest test for Buffalo so far this season.
You know, another one of the good young quarterbacks in the league, and it'll be a big challenge for us come Sunday.
If you can force him to come off his first read and hold the ball, it's a totally different ball game.
Mike Danger.
Tua's a record needle that's stuck in this groove right now. How do you jar him out of that groove? Make the record skip a beat.
For everybody going to the game for Bills Mafia, where's your contract?
It's going to be on a good defense. It's going to be on the Bills to change that narrative and then capitalize on those mistakes. Hopefully you can do that.
Gene Battaglia.
Oh, Sabres hockey.
Oh, who cares?
Thursday night football.
NFC North showdown between the Lions and Packers.
Braves All-Star Ronald Acuna Jr. became the first 40-70 player in Major League Baseball history last night.
The Cubs continue to suck after being good.
And now Damian Lillard is a Milwaukee Buck.
Are you going to stay up until 1 a.m. and watch the Ryder Cup?
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You're back in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950, or the free-to-download Odyssey app. We have our video stream up for you to check out at The Fan Rochester on YouTube and Twitch, gaining popularity. And by the way, if we get to 1,000 combined subscribers on those two platforms, subscribers and followers, Gino and I will get on stage at a Friday Football Talk Live and sing Into the Night by Benny Mardones. That's a promise that you have as we try to build our community here.
The one in December is going to be fun. That's going to be Kansas City week.
Yeah.
What about then? Like, can we aim for that one?
I mean, it's a lofty goal because I'm not going to lie to you and try to tell you that things are moving at a rocket's pace right now. No, it's slow and steady wins the race. I mean, look, we're feeding content every day on YouTube and Twitch, and we appreciate you following along and telling your friends about the Sports Bar. Share the page, lend us a thumbs up. Subscribe, notifications, all of that stuff. Click on those little buttons there on YouTube, and you'll always know when we go live, and you'll always know when we upload new content.
That's it. That's all we ask. It's a free show, so that's all we ask is a vote.
Yeah.
That's all it is, just a vote. Just like it.
And every now and then, if you follow us on X as well, we'll share some of that content that we're sharing on YouTube and on Twitch, like yesterday, PJ giving us his Baltimore accent. I mean, that was an all-timer. But PJ not only taking the bait, but just swimming with it.
He knew. Yeah. You went with Machado, and then you forgot about Juan Soto.
When you cast it out there, and the fish grabs the bait, and it just starts swimming really fast, and your drag on your reel just starts screaming. That was PJ when I fed him Manny Machado.
Yeah. Soto, who's the shortstop there that moved to right field?
Fernando Tatis.
And what city do they play in?
San Diego.
We got to come up, now the task is like that's the bar. Like, what do we come up with next week?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
Bo next.
Thad Brown from News 8 Sports will be joining us here in around 20 minutes or so. We'll talk some Bills Dolphins and get Thad's keys to this game. And we haven't really talked about which direction we're leaning because I don't know that you or I really have right now a definitive lean. I want to say that the Bills should be able to outduel the Dolphins, that the Bills' offense when they're humming, should be able to move the ball effectively against the Dolphins' defense, and that the Bills' defense should be able to affect Tua in a hostile environment and continue to do what they've done to Miami, which is essentially own them. You know, the games have been competitive, but it's been the Bills getting the better of Miami, including 2 of 3 last year. And if Josh Allen gets the win on Sunday for his career against Miami, he will have beaten them
9 times.
I mean, that right there, sports bar karma, dictates that the Bills will come away with a win.
Honest to goodness, it should already be 9 times. Remember the Charles Clay drop at the end?
The thing I remember about the Charles Clay play in that Dolphins game wasn't the actual drop as much as it was Brian Daboll on the sideline, just collapsing forward, and like one of those Weeble Wobble toys that you had for your kids, like just, and then just kind of like Weeble Wobble back on his belly. Like he just fell forward and then kind of leaned back, like just collapsing because he had the play and it just wasn't quite executed. And maybe another player makes that play. Charles Clay wasn't the guy. But that was when you kind of knew, like, all right, Josh Allen might be okay against these Miami Dolphins long term.
Yeah, that's I will share tomorrow, and it's one of those weeks where taking in all different accounts and everything else. But I do think though, it's on the Bills' offense to just play clock control. It's going to be a different sort of game, and that's what Sean McDermott is going to want. Can they just move the ball downfield? And when you do move the ball downfield, can you get 7s instead of 3s? You don't have to overthink this, Danger. Really, that's what basically this comes down to. Don't settle for field goals. Certainly don't turn the ball over.
Whoa. Why would you not settle for field goals? Because here in the sports bar, we like to engage from time to time in some hot kicker talk. And I don't know that there's anything hotter than having the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month on your roster. Mr. Automatic himself, Tyler Bass.
When was the last time we had the Bills kicker blew it? It was probably that Monday night game against Seattle. Remember that wild one?
What was that, Hauschka?
Hauschka and Richard Sherman and all that nonsense. That's how long ago that was. That you don't even have to worry. 50-plus yards, no worries. Yeah, Tyler Bass, that's the best compliment you can give Tyler Bass. He's like an official, okay? I don't think about the kicker. I don't think about officials. That means they're good.
Yeah. 7 for 7. He's been perfect. 7 for 7 on field goal attempts. 10 out of 10 on his extra points through 3 weeks, and getting that award today, that recognition, AFC Special Teams Player of the Month, Bills kicker Tyler Bass, which makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, because now you have somebody automatic. So why would you have to? Why do you have to push it on 4th down? We can just take the points when we can get them. No, I'm with you. You got to get those 7 points, and you got to get them as frequently as you can. Shall we get some takes here in the sports bar, Gino?
Yeah. Would you like to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
This guy right here, me. This is me sweating through watching his favorite baseball team push for a wild card. My Cubs, they dropped another one to Atlanta. They gave up another lead last night.
Timeout. They had a nice lead. They were up 3-0. Talion is on the mound.
2 nights in a row, man. 2 nights in a row, and this doesn't look like a team that deserves to be in the playoffs. When you give up these leads, I know that the Braves are good. Their season right now is going to come down to a series against the Brewers. Well, the team that they're tied with for the final wild card spot in Miami, and they've got a series with Pittsburgh. How am I feeling right about now? I'm not doing too good.
Not great, Bob.
Right. So I'm not liking our chances. How much of a choke job would it be for the Cubs to miss out on the postseason? Gino, at one point this season, the Cubs were minus 1,600 to make the playoffs, a 94% chance to make the postseason. Now, they're minus 300 to minus 350, depending on where you look, to miss the playoffs.
Okay, let me kind of point out there's another pathway too. Okay, you don't have to worry about the Marlins. It's called the Diamondbacks. And the irony is your White Sox, not your White Sox personally, but the White Sox might be doing you a favor here. They're leading 3-1 in the 7th. If Arizona falls, that would be a game and a half. All right, and then if the Cubs win tonight, that's only down to a game. And who does Arizona get the last week? They get Houston. Houston, they're fighting for a playoff position. They don't have anything locked up. They've got to put away Seattle, and maybe Houston can sneak in as the division winner. So, to me, if you end up, the end of tonight, just a game back at Arizona, I think you'll be okay.
You're a good friend for trying to prop me up, Gino, but I don't know that this makes me feel any better. I mean, I'd rather they have control of their own destiny and not feeling good knowing that they've got a series against the Brewers coming up in order to get in, and they need other things to happen, like Pittsburgh all of a sudden being good enough to beat Miami. And Pittsburgh has had their moments this season. Obviously, that hot start that they got off to this year, but I ain't feeling great. The good news for me is at least I can root for the Bears.
No. No, you got the kid with the Blackhawks, I guess. Yeah, coming up.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a long season. This is going to be tough. So I'm pulling for the Cubs, hoping that they make it in, hoping that they make me right, because I predicted that they would be a postseason team way early. But here we are, and they're choking it away. I don't like what I'm saying. What do you got, Gino?
Did Josh McDaniels kill Aaron Hernandez?
Wow.
That's the allegation from Chandler Jones.
Wow.
Chandler Jones. Now,
was Chandler Jones a Patriot?
Yeah.
At that time?
Correct. Chandler Jones was like the heartbeat at defensive line. So he's been in the league since 2012. Now, if you're not familiar with Chandler Jones, Syracuse, then went to Arizona. I remember when he went to Arizona, we were talking about, oh, wow, this would be a good fit for Buffalo. No, he went to Arizona now with the Raiders, and he hasn't played at all this year. And the circumstances around him not playing, very, very mysterious. But now I think we're kind of getting a picture here of a man that has, not talking about McDaniels, I'm talking about Chandler Jones, some serious issues. And it was on full display. He put it on Instagram Live that, all right, you can't delete that. It's out there forever, the people that have the recording. And in it, he accuses in this rant, and he's crying, he's going on, talking in circles. He says, y'all don't know what Josh McDaniels really did to Aaron Hernandez. Y'all thought Aaron Hernandez killed himself in jail. And he starts crying, and then the stream cuts off. Okay. This is what I'm really worried about, the conclusion to the story. And
the stream cuts off, but did he accuse Josh McDaniels of what, ordering a hit on Aaron Hernandez?
Well, that's what he's implying. And he's also saying, I'm saying I just want to play for the Raiders. I think that ship has sailed. I'm asking the question honestly here, okay? Don't they have mental health arrest? Why isn't this man in a facility? Somebody, that video alone should be like, okay, you need help. What is the NFLPA doing at this point? What are the Raiders doing at this point? How does this story end? And I think it's actually pretty scary, Danger.
Did the Raiders, because the only bit of this, I've been seeing little things cross my feed, but I haven't taken a deep dive into what actually is going on. But he at one point said that he was hospitalized for no reason, or
he says he was in a mental health facility and injected with something against his will.
So did the Raiders suggest that, or was that something that family and friends suggested for Chandler Jones? Because I'm with you. More than anything, let's get him the help that he needs, because it doesn't seem like he's right at this very moment. And if you did want to come back to play for the Raiders, if that's all you wanted to do, accusing your head coach of murdering somebody isn't a way to get back on the field.
No, that would be kind of, and I don't know how Josh McDaniels, what did he order the hit in prison? What? Can
you imagine Josh McDaniels having that kind of pull, like making the phone call and having the connections with the kind of criminals that would do such a thing? It's a hard sell for me. It's a hard thing for me a hard rabbit hole for me to go down. I just hope Chandler Jones gets his help.
I don't even know why you would jump to that conclusion and why Aaron Hernandez would be on his mind unless Chandler Jones has these really bad thoughts, and that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
He's never playing for the Raiders again after this. Obviously.
No, I don't think he's playing again. And maybe part of this also, it could be, hey, I know I'm at the end of my career. What else do I have? This is all I know. It's the sad tale that we hear about from NFL players from time to time, and certainly CTE might be a part of that. I don't know. I guess I'm just hoping that he gets the help that he needs if he is mentally unwell, that somebody close to him, family, friends, or anybody within the Raiders organization does the right thing and gets him help. It's bigger than football. It's a hard thing to tell somebody that it's bigger than football when all you know is football, and I'm worried that that's where he's at.
Yeah.
All I know is football.
Yeah, I'm just worried, how does this story actually end? Does he get the help he needs? I mean, like the closest Bills story we had to this was the behavior of Richie Incognito after he left the team. We
had a few guys during that era that were. Cyrus Kwanjo went a little crazy. Remember that?
Yep.
Out in the field without his pants or something. That was one that I remember talking
and
about.
Of course, you have the Zay Jones, but I don't know if those
was another
were,
one. Yep.
I don't know if those were actually kind of suspected CTE issues. Those are
just bizarre behavior, and you just hope that they get the help that they need. It's a guy like Zay Jones. I mean, it's nice to see that he's kind of resurrected his career somewhat in Jacksonville and done all right for himself, because he was in a real dark place there for a while. A real dark place where we were saying the same thing about Zay Jones. Yeah, we're saying the same thing about Zay Jones then as we're saying about Chandler Jones now. Man, I hope he gets the help he needs.
I think those are two different stories. I think that when you look at that video, that was Zay Jones on a horrible trip from making a bad choice of whatever he took that night, and a lot of people have said that's synthetic marijuana, allegedly. This is Chandler Jones repeated, not just this morning. This is over the last month. Now, there's a report that the NFLPA is reaching out to Chandler Jones, trying, but you got to be more forceful at this point. Diplomacy is not working. Somebody has to make a mental health arrest here.
If you've watched any bit of the NFL, then you've likely seen this reinstated play, the tush push. It's the play where the players are now allowed to push the quarterback from behind in short yardage situations, and it's virtually impossible to defend if it's executed properly, or is it? Because the team that seems to have it down to a science, that's Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. But if the play was banned, as many wish it was, wouldn't the Eagles still be effective at gaining that short distance with their quarterback? I believe with the tush push, whether you have it or not, if you have a competent quarterback and you have a cohesive and effective offensive line, you're converting whether you got somebody pushing behind you or not. The Eagles, certainly the Bills, the Chiefs, these are teams right now that don't care if that play gets banned from the NFL rulebook.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn on this one, but there's Tom Brady all those years. That was such an easy, okay, it's 4th and 1. Oh, that's where you're lining up the tackle. Then I'm going to lean forward. So how is that? If you've earned the position to earn 3rd and short or 4th and short, then you're opposing defense. Don't let it get to that point.
Right.
So if it's a safety issue, that's one thing. This isn't a safety issue.
Right. The play itself, it doesn't bother me. It's almost like an automatic. But honestly, if you're a team with a good quarterback, like the Eagles are, you don't need the tush push. If that play was gone, they would still convert on short yardage situations. Josh Allen, assuming he holds on to the snap, can convert in short yardage situations. It's true, man. I mean, look, he's had those situations, but you think that if you're a big quarterback behind a cohesive offensive line, an athletic quarterback behind a cohesive offensive line, that tush push or not, you're gaining that yardage. So I just think that for all the people that want to see that play banned, it's fine if your team is able to actually convert on 3rd and short. I'm looking at you, Chargers.
Bonus take here, Danger, as it's not going to be Fred Jackson as the leader of the charge. And this has become a story now after Takeo Spikes kind of said, hey, look at these seats.
You can't get any actual legends to do it. Who are they bringing in? Are they bringing in Cyrus Kwanjo? Cyrus Kwanjo, our legend of the game. Somebody we know won't complain about his seats or how we treat him.
Who was the other one? Chantrell Henderson.
Chantrell Henderson is our legend of the game, everybody. Welcome back to Buffalo, Chantrell. Enjoy your crappy obstructed view seats in the suites.
No, honestly, we joke about that player who never played a regular season game. It's Christian Wade, everybody.
Christian Wade is back, everybody. He is back for the Legends of the Game to lead the charge. Who's coming back?
Drew Bledsoe's coming back.
Okay.
Former Buffalo Bills quarterback who I don't know. You think of Drew Bledsoe, he's probably more known for being a Patriot than being a Buffalo Bill. And he began actually kind of like the drought era of Buffalo Bills football. And there was some entertaining games, but in the end, Bledsoe, those teams always fell short. But here's why I don't trust Drew Bledsoe. You know what he's doing now?
He's a wine guy.
He is.
Big wine guy.
Big wine guy. And this winery, it's priced out of reach for you and I, Danger. There's no box wine here.
Oh, no. He doesn't do any box?
No, this
Case
is not.
Keenum does some boxed wines. Why can't Drew Bledsoe do some boxed wines? What's going on
here? There's nothing. I mean, he's got his own merch here.
Okay, good. Like every ex-player should have their own merch.
Yeah, like a corkscrew. You can buy a Drew Bledsoe corkscrew for $15.
What is the name of his winery? The name of his vintage?
It's just Bledsoe Family Winery.
Bledsoe Family Winery. And the bottles are being priced at what? Do we have it? Do we know?
No, because I don't know if they can ship in Wisconsin, but I do know they don't.
They're based in Wisconsin?
Excuse me, Washington.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so he's in Washington State, Washington State Vineyard. Yeah. I mean, if you're telling me that it's a $20 bottle of wine, I'm saying okay, good for Drew Bledsoe. If you're telling me that he's pricing his bottles at like $80 to $120 a bottle, it's like, okay, Drew, come on, is it really that good? Is it really that good? Gene's doing the Google search here to see if we can get a price.
Doing that.
Little price check on Bledsoe Vineyards.
The family red wine. Now, this isn't family. $103 the average sale.
Out of our price range when you're used to drinking the Bada Box.
103.
Yeah. Come on. I'm used to paying $20 for that Bada Box that Gene turned me on to that I can I can savor through the course of 30 days. You're telling me I got to spend $160 on a bottle of what? Get out of here!
See, I don't care. I don't care. Like you're going to a tailgate. Do you really need? That's 49er tailgate action. There,
I'm not bringing wine to a tailgate.
No. But if you were going to bring a box. If you're going to the cottage for the week, you're bringing a box.
If I'm going to the cottage for the week, I'm bringing a bottle. If I'm bringing wine to a tailgate, I'm not. End of story. I'm not bringing a box. I'm not bringing a bottle. Not to a tailgate. No way. I'll let somebody else do that if they want to. If it's that important to them, or they believe that they have the perfect pairing. Like what goes good with a Pinot Noir? Fritos and chili. What else? What else are we serving at the tailgate? Oh, does the Pinot Noir go good with pulled pork sandwiches? Tell me. I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking beer at the tailgate. Somebody else can bring the bottle of wine or the box of wine. Gino, are you going to bring the box of wine if we do a tailgate?
Probably not. I'll be drinking beer.
That's right.
And that's Three Heads Porter, I think. That's the way to go.
It's a good play. It's a good play. Thad Brown from News 8 Sports going to join us next, and we'll talk more Bills, Dolphins here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia on the Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for everything.
Today, not practicing, however, Jordan Poyer. He's got some knee soreness. Around Neal and Ryan Bates were limited today. Linebacker Terrell Bernard knows the Miami Dolphins are a big test.
You know, they got a great offense, obviously, explosive at all levels. They got guys that can score anytime they touch the ball. They want to get their guys open in space and, create mismatches and things like that. So we'll do, what we need to do this week to prepare for that.
Tyler Bass named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month for the month of September. We'll talk to Thad Brown, News 8, joining us next year in the Sports Bar. Sabres, it's the third preseason game in 3 nights. They're in Pittsburgh tonight. On the Major League scoreboard, there is one game with playoff implications. The Diamondbacks in the 9, trailing the White Sox 3-1. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You want to stop the run still, that remains the same, and then you want to affect the quarterback. Some games affecting the quarterback might be getting your hands up and tipping passes up. Or some games it might be like sacks, like last week, just getting after somebody, a quarterback that holds the ball for a longer period of time or likes to push the ball down the field more. So, at the end of the day, you just got to find a way to do it, win your one-on-ones, and affect the quarterback in whichever way possible.
Buffalo Bills defensive end Greg Rousseau on ways that the defense can affect Tua Tagovailoa. It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia as we look forward to Sunday's matchup between the Bills and the Dolphins. Talk more about it with News 8 Sports' Thad Brown, who's good to join us here in the Sports Bar. Thad, it sounds a lot easier than it probably is, but do you think the Buffalo Bills defense, given what we've seen out of them, has what it takes to affect Tua and get him to go beyond that first read that he's become very comfortable making?
They absolutely have what it takes. I think you talk to Greg Rousseau, one of the edge guys, and Leonard Floyd's been, pretty good to start the year. Rousseau's been fine. But to me, it's the guys in the middle that I've been really, really impressed by. Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver are both playing at an incredibly high level. And you know what? Daquan doesn't get the love he probably deserves. Oliver's the high draft pick, the first-round pick, just got the big contract. And Jones came to Buffalo not even seen as a guy who's really a strong pass rusher. He was more of a run stopper, kind of a dirty work kind of guy, and he does that very well. But he has proven to be one heck of a pass rusher as well. So when you got an offense like Miami's, where everything comes out quick, you would think that if the defensive tackles, being the guys closest to the ball at every snap, would have the best shot to influence the quarterback and kind of throw that offense off the rails. And the Bills and Jones and Oliver have two really, really good guys to possibly make that happen. So, look, is it possible? 100%. Will the Bills do it enough? That's the big question.
Yeah, Thad, I'm curious as to how Sean McDermott is going to play his safeties in this game, and I'm also a little concerned. Micah Hyde did have the interception last week, but he's still working his way back, and Jordan Poyer, and you forget how they're up there in age. Your level of concern with the Bills' safeties going against this Miami speed.
Especially for Poyer, the level of concern is incredibly high. And I have a ton of respect for Poyer. He's a heck of a player, had a great career, still one of the better safeties in the league. But he has proven on multiple occasions already this young season to be an absolute liability when it comes to trying to make an open field tackle. He got run around by James Cook in a preseason practice. Jaylen Warren got around him, in the Pittsburgh preseason game. Breece Hall burned him in the opener. And even this past game, there was a run, I think it was Brian Robinson. Now, this one, at least, there's a blocker involved, but he has not been able to be much of a match for, the better guys in the league. And look, Jaylen Warren, I respect his talent, but I don't think anybody calls him one of the better guys in the league. So when you think about what Devon Achane or Raheem Mostert or even Salvon Ahmed, who might be able to do if they get loose in this game and it's, Poyer on an island against them, that's a real problem for the Bills. And I think you could probably extrapolate that to, Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle putting him on an island. Micah Hyde, I think still has a lot of the same ability, but he has been dealing with a hamstring injury the last 2 weeks. So, those two guys back there safety is exactly the correct name for the position. They're the last line of defense. And, if they're not going to be able to make plays, them making a tackle is going to be the difference between a 20-yard play and a 70-yard touchdown. And in a game like this, that might be the difference in a win and a loss.
Thad, do you think that this is the week we see Kyer Elam, knowing that he's a better press guy and that Sean McDermott hasn't really used him yet this year, hasn't gotten on the field yet this year? Do you think that might be, the athleticism of a guy like Kyer Elam might be a better play or better matchup against the speed of Miami's offense? Are we seeing him this week for the first time?
See, the thing I always thought about Kyer Elam is that I thought a guy like Tyreek Hill would be his worst possible matchup. That a quick, fast, receiver like that can. I thought he would really turn a guy like Elam inside out, because Elam he's fast, but he's much more physical than anything else. And the one reason Elam's not been active the first 3 games, or one of the reasons, is that he's physical with his hands, but doesn't move his feet very well. And when you're going against a receiver like Hill or Jalen Waddle, whose release package is off the charts, if your feet are bad, you're just going to be a penalty waiting to happen. So now, that being said, he's certainly a better size speed matchup than what the Bills currently have in corner. Even Tre'Davious White, can't match the physical profile that Elam has. But Christian Benford's been good. There's a lot of other reasons, like I said, why Elam has been not active at all. There's no way in the world he's going to start over Christian Benford in this game, in my opinion. Could he be active in favor of Dane Jackson just to provide that extra physical option? Wouldn't totally stun me, but I think the Bills probably feel good about the guys they have, and I would imagine Elam would still be inactive this weekend.
Yeah, one position where the Bills have gotten quicker is linebacker, and like you always have Milano as fast, but Thad, going back to training camp, and every time we've had you on, we've been talking about the middle linebacker battle, and now it seems kind of silly. Like Terrell Bernard is like through 3 games the real deal. So my question is, like, it's a surprise to us. Did this even surprise the Bills coaching staff, in your opinion?
Of course it did, because if they thought Terrell Bernard would be this good, there wouldn't have been a position battle. And I think the full, you continue to move that logic forward, and we probably should pump the brakes on Terrell Bernard. He had a heck of a week, and the interception was a smart play. He had 2 sacks, but one of them was a sack where the quarterback kind of scrambled into him, although he did blow up a pulling tight end on the play. That was impressive. And even the other sack that he had was a play where, Matt Milano does the dirty work to open up the lane for him. And then I think it's more great scheme by Sean McDermott, frankly, than it is Terrell Bernard making any sort of incredible individual play, because you take your 2 fast linebackers, you're running up the same gap, and when the first guy gets picked up, the second guy's just got a wide open lane, it makes for an easy sack. If they had reversed the order, it probably works out just about the same. So now, don't get me wrong, I don't want to besmirch what Bernard has done. He's been, as good as you possibly could have hoped for him, and, certainly a whole lot better with the production he had in this last game. But it's only 3 games, and with any young guy, offensive coordinators are going to start looking at what things you can exploit, where you can get him. And, when teams start making adjustments, and generally the rule of thumb in the NFL is, when you're getting ready for a game, you look at the last 4 games of tape. So we're still in week 4 with this kid. Next week and the week after, that's when teams will start, having an idea of where you might be able to beat them and make those changes about how to attack the Bills defense with Bernard. Then we'll get a little better read on where he's at as a linebacker. But, like I said, through 3 games, man, everything and more the Bills could hope for.
And it's funny, Thad, if you look at Tua's stats from last year, the first 3 games, they're almost identical to his stats this year, the first 3 games. And I think that Bills defense did kind of unlock a little bit of got Tua off of his groove a little bit when they met early last year. Let's see if that happens again defensively for the Bills here coming up on Sunday as we continue with Thad Brown from News 8 Sports joining us here in the Sports Bar. Let's flip to the other side of the field and the Bills offense. That more impressive than anything to me has been the offensive line the last 2 weeks. They've completely erased the threat of any sort of pass rush against their opponent. Do you expect that they will have the same kind of success here against Miami's pass rush on Sunday?
I think they can, and I think 2 things are happening. Number one, both guards have been pretty good, whereas both guards last year were, pretty questionable. I think Osiris Torrance has been solid as a rookie. I think there are ups and downs with him, but nothing that you wouldn't expect from a guy who's made, 3 career starts now. The big story to me so far, I think, is Connor McGovern, and he had just a superb game against Washington, dealing with a guy like Jonathan Allen, most of the way through. I tweeted a little something, a little analysis from Brandon Thorne, who does great work with offensive line stuff on Twitter, talking about how good a day that McGovern had, and just taking those 2 spots and kind of settling them down. You don't need stars at guard, but just give me guys that won't be a headache, that won't be, that guy caused the problem again, won't force your quarterback to run all the time. and I think you're doing okay. And the Bills, I think, at minimum, have that so far. And the second thing that's been happening is that Ken Dorsey, the last 2 weeks, has done a really nice job scheming up stuff to keep defensive lines and last week in the case of Max Crosby, more occupied than usual. I mean, last week against the Raiders, they chipped Crosby so many times with tight ends and running backs and receivers. You could tell he's getting frustrated. There was a play where he lined up with a receiver to his outside. He kind of looked at it. You could see him almost like shrug his shoulders like, okay, here we go again, and decided to go outside to kind of deal with it. And when you get a guy thinking more than just playing, you're already winning half the battle. They did the same thing with Washington. On the edges, they ran a lot of different blocking schemes, a lot of different styles of plays, boots and draws and dart plays and, all kinds of stuff to kind of keep those guys off balance. And then in the second half, the thing I really liked is that they mixed in some max protect stuff. So they had a couple pass plays where they blocked like 8-on-5 and 7-on-4. And, not only does that succeed in blocking the play, but I think it also does a good job about giving your offensive line a little bit of a breather. When you go into a snap thinking, well, geez, I got both tight ends and a running back helping me this time, I don't have to feel like I'm on an island against this former first-round superstar guy across from me. I think it's got to help out mentally. So, give the coordinator, a good bit of the credit for how good that offensive line has been the last couple of weeks.
Thad Brown, News 8, our guest. If I had to rank here, as far as 1 through 4, Dolphins offense, Dolphins defense, Bills offense, Bills defense, okay, you can make an argument for either offense being number 1. What I would say would be last, though, would be Miami's defense. It's not they're a bad defense, but Thad, this is a defense that Josh Allen has had some success with. So I guess my question is, there's no Jalen Ramsey over there too, by the way. Do you let Josh be Josh normally, or is Sean McDermott kind of meeting with Ken Dorsey and say, hey, let's come up with kind of a ball control, complementary football sort of game plan here?
The funny thing about that side of the game is that Miami has a new defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, who is like a 180 of what the Dolphins used to do. Remember, the Dolphins used to be the cover zero, we're going to come at you with 17 guys and our hair is on fire and you got to deal with it. And Fangio is the opposite. The stat that, Carl Jones in my department brought up, that's a great number to think about, is last year Miami ran the least cover 2 kind of conservative shell defensive coverages in the NFL. The last year Fangio was in the league with Denver, he ran the most. So it just tells you how much of a disparity there is in philosophy. So while the guys are the same, what they're doing is different. And with this Bills offense, there hasn't been a whole lot of quick strike this year. It's been a lot of 11, 13, 15-play drives. Well, Fangio's defense, that's what he wants you to do. He wants you to go dink and dunk down the field, and then he's gonna try and choke you in the red zone. So I think what the Bills have been doing is probably what they'll still be able to do because the defense will just let them do that. And then the question is, can they finish drives? When they get down to the red zone, is it 6s or 3s? But in terms of a game plan, I think the Bills just keep doing what they're doing because it's going to work against this defense. They're comfortable doing it, and it keeps that other offense off the field. So, if you can go up 35, 40 minutes a time of possession and move the ball like you've been doing, why not keep just going that way?
Yeah, Thad, it's interesting that you bring that up because, usually when a new coordinator comes in, you have to kind of look at the personnel that he's inheriting and whether or not it's a fit for the style of defense that they want to run. Do you get the sense that they have the right personnel in Miami to execute this Vic Fangio defense, or is that a weakness that the Bills might be able to exploit on Sunday?
Well, frankly, it's hard to tell because the Dolphins are averaging like 50 points a week. So, me and you could play defense on that team. We'd probably be fine.
Yeah.
So, I want to see them now, against the Patriots when they needed to have a game, that was 24-17 and New England scored last. So the Miami defense did their job in that game. And, no matter what, both offenses are pretty good in this one, but the defenses are going to have to make some plays. So we'll see. I would imagine that, with any new coordinator, and again, with that much of a philosophy change, there's going to be some issues, especially early in the season. So you might see some mistakes. But the Dolphins are a pretty talented defense. They're not terrible. I think your rankings are probably reasonable, at least putting Miami at the bottom, Miami defense. But, they've got Bradley Chubb and Christian Wilkins up front. I think their linebackers are underrated. Xavier Howard and Javon Holland are really good in the secondary. So it's not like they don't have anybody on that defense. So they will have their own ability to make plays on that side of the ball as well.
Thad Brown, News 8, our guest here in the Sports Bar, talking about the Bills and Dolphins, 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. Thad, your thoughts on Tua here? Because, yes, he is off to this fantastic start, but still, you don't have to go back that far. I mean, just less than 2 seasons ago, it was Tua. Oh my gosh, they're actually trying to trade him here for Deshaun Watson, and that fell through. And then go back to the next offseason. Hey, we're going to bring in Tom Brady, and then that fell apart. And they even go to where we are right now. He doesn't have a contract. Like, there's some doubt there in Miami, or else they would have given him the money. And I'm sure that has to deal with, okay, can you last the whole season? But your thoughts here on Tua, that, boy, it just doesn't seem like the Dolphins are all in on this guy.
I think all of that doubt is injury related. I don't think there's any hesitation when it comes to play on the field. And I've been impressed with Tua's ability this year to get through progressions. Last year he kind of got labeled as a first read or a one read quarterback, and I think you saw a lot of that. And this year, watching him the last couple of games, I've seen a lot of Tua very comfortable in the pocket. You can see him. Receiver 1, receiver 2, check down. Receiver 1, receiver 2, check down. And when you're able to do that as a quarterback on an offense where receiver 1 is a lot of the time open by 15 yards to begin with, that makes you really, really good. And there's a good chunk of the success that's Mike McDaniel, the pieces around him. But what quarterback isn't like that? I mean, Josh Allen wasn't anything until Stephon Diggs got here. And if you took Stephon Diggs out of this offense now, there'd be big questions about how good they would be. So it always, always, always is a group effort on, no matter what we're talking about in football. And the Dolphins have a really good group around Tua, but it's a group that works really well with the way Tua operates the game. So any concerns about him as a quarterback to me right now are only injury related. If you tell me right now he's going to play the next 14 games, then I put Miami right at the same level with Buffalo at minimum going forward the rest of the year. They're going to be a headache. They're going to be really good. It's just a matter if Tua can stay on the field.
So, Thad, along those lines, I've been contending since before the season even started that if the Bills were to fall short against Miami here in week 4, that really it's the week 18 game that we should all have circled, because that game might actually be for the AFC East when you look at the schedules and how tough the division has been. Do you buy into that? Do you think that the Bills could suffer a loss here and be, at this point of the season, essentially 2 games back from Miami, knowing that they have a chance to redeem themselves late in the season to try and get into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think, look, there's a lot of season left, and again, a lot of what Miami does hinges on how healthy Tua is. But if the Bills lose, and remember, it wouldn't just be 2 games back, they'd be down the tiebreaker too, so it's really 2.5 at that point. It would be a tall mountain to climb, but you're going to be able to pick up 1 or even 1.5 of those games in January. So all you got to do is outplay Miami by 1 game for the next 13. And there's so many things that can happen between now and then. What quarterbacks are healthy? What team's playing well? When are you hurt? What's the game where the Bills might be without Connor McGovern, or what game does Matt Milano miss for a couple weeks, and that changes everything up. So look, this is not the end of the season for the Bills. I think mathematically, if they lose this game, they're in a little bit of trouble, but they've been around long enough. They're pretty battle tested, especially in the regular season. I wouldn't really make any definitive judgments about the division or the Bills or the Dolphins after this game, but certainly this week will go a long way towards figuring into how all that stuff works out.
Is the most underappreciated Buffalo Bill actually the guy that got the honor today, Tyler Bass? When Tyler Bass goes out there, Thad, I don't even okay, yeah, he's going to make this kick here, where that's not true with every team.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. Let's be fair. He got quite fortunate to make the kick against the Jets. That thing bounces off a post a different way, and, we might not be talking about Tyler Bass in this way, but he has been an absolute, home run of a draft pick for a team that, doesn't need to rely on their kicker, but to have that guy, as a weapon to where, all you got to do is get in the vicinity of the 35-yard line and you're in scoring range, and to be able to hit that 50-yarder, down 3, that was probably the biggest pressure kick of his career. And yeah, he got a good bounce, but it went in. So the guy's been nails. Maybe not Justin Tucker level, but certainly whatever the next group of kickers is, Tyler Bass is front and center in that group at least.
Thad, we appreciate all the pregame coverage that you're giving us week in and week out as the Bills prepare to take on Miami. We know that continues on Sunday. Tell us about Buffalo Kickoff Live.
Yeah, we're going to have it on News 8. It's every week at 11:30. A half hour, myself, Josh Reed, a whole bunch of cast of characters, Matt Perino, Tim Graham on the show. It's a whole lot of fun. We also, if you're in Buffalo and happen to hear this online or whatever, we're on there on WLNO, I think it is, the CW affiliate at 11. So it's a full hour in total, but in Rochester, we just see it from 11:30 to 12. And great show to get started. And right on the field, I mean, last week we had Stephon Diggs' nephew doing an impromptu guest segment, so you never know when stuff like that might pop up because we're right there, right next to where the players are warming up.
Yeah. Young Diggs had takes there, Thad. I mean, that you should invite him to be a regular guest there.
Yeah, we actually in negotiation with his agents, his people talking to our people. I think there's a little hang up with the money, but we'll get there with him. I think I'm pretty confident.
Appreciate all the work that you're doing, Thad. Doing a great job, and thanks for the time this afternoon here in the Sports Bar.
Yeah, appreciate that, guys, and thanks for having me on.
You got it. There he is. Thad Brown, News 8 Sports, giving us his takes on Bills-Dolphins coming up here Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, this is, I think we're ready, right? Yeah, we've been ready since Monday on this game.
We've been talking about this.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about the comfortable win on Sunday against Washington. We just started we were talking about this before the game in Washington, right? The team can't do it, but we can do it.
I think in the fourth quarter, we were all like, okay, it's Miami here. Whoa, they just scored again at 63.
Yeah.
Oh, they just scored again.
Yeah, a lot of momentum for Miami coming in, but we know that history has kind of shown that the teams that score a lot of points one week tend to come back down to earth rather hard the following week.
All right, Mike Danger, I'm trying to put a smile on your face. White Sox did you solid. They beat Arizona 3-1. Okay. So right now, you're up to the standings. The Cubbies and the Marlins, they're tied for the last spot. Yep. Arizona is a game and a half up now.
Okay. Yeah, it's the Marlins I'm worried about. I'm not really. I think Arizona's in. Arizona's finding a way.
No. They play in Houston.
Yeah,
Houston needs a little game.
Yeah. I'm more worried about the Marlins. I'm more worried about the Cubs choking another lead against Atlanta and then having to finish the season in Milwaukee. This is bad. It's bad. Thank you for trying to boost my spirits, Gino. I mean, it's been a rough September for the Chicago sports guy. I'm really struggling.
Maybe the Mets can actually win tonight.
Isn't this
ironic? Yeah. Meet the Mets.
Let's go, you spares.
Stand right
you
up
losers
and meet the Mets.
With nothing to play for.
Bring your kiddies,
do me a solid. I need it.
Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall.
Are you into it? Are you into it because I'm into it?
Yeah, listen, I'm trying to help. I don't like the Marlins. Who likes the Marlins? I don't want to see the Marlins. Baseball wants the Cubs in the postseason. You think they want Arizona in? You think they want the Marlins in?
It would be nice. Quickly here before we go to a break, let's just get to a couple of different headlines here from the NFL. We'll serve them up in bite-sized form, appetizer style here in the sports bar. We mentioned Tyler Bass, AFC Special Teams Player of the Month. He's been a perfect 7 for 7 on field goals, 10 out of 10 on his extra point attempts through 3 weeks, and getting that recognition from the NFL earlier today. And speaking of the Dolphins, it will be Jalen Waddle back on the field. He wasn't on the field for that 70-point. They didn't need him for that 70-point drubbing. Tua will have his full complement of weapons. He has cleared concussion protocol. So Jalen Waddle will be a welcome addition to the Dolphins lineup this weekend.
Yeah, we have the news this afternoon. It became official. The XFL and the USFL are merging, and this is going to be in time for 2024. And this is probably needed, but there's some things they got to untangle.
A lot of questions I have.
Yeah, like some of the markets are the same. So are you folding some teams? I would imagine like they both lost big time dollars. So and you have different TV partners. So let them figure it out. I do think there is a market for spring football. If somehow they can sell the NFL, hey, can you give us a developmental player or two? Because if there was a Bill practice squad player on a team, well, all of a sudden we're watching if there was some sort of affiliation.
Would you be watching for Andy Isabella?
Yes.
In the spring?
Oh, Andy Isabella playing the role of Tyreek Hill this week.
Oh, all right.
The X Factor.
Let's hope he can do for the Bills' defense what Kingsley Jonathan did for the Bills' offense 2 weeks ago, right?
Playing Max Crosby.
That's right. Some injury updates here. Austin Eckler has missed the last 2 weeks. High ankle sprain. He returned to practice this week, and the hope is that he would be on the field against the Raiders on Sunday. The player himself saying that it's a possibility. Now, realistically, when you look at their schedule, there's a bye week 5 for the Chargers. So it would make sense if they wanted to give him another week to fully heal. But the offense for the Chargers just is not the same without Austin Eckler. They're not able to run the football at all without Eckler. And if you go into that bye week at 1-3, it's a little bit different than if you go into the bye week at 2-2. So we'll keep an eye on that.
How much did NBC pay Taylor Swift? Oh, wait a second. If we put this on TikTok, these men, they don't know what they're talking about.
No, everything about Taylor Swift is authentic and real. Just keep buying into everything that she does is authentic and real. Nothing is staged. Nothing is choreographed. She's as authentic and real as... She didn't have a team of people. She doesn't have an army of people telling her where she needs to be, what she needs to be doing, everything, and what she needs to say, what she needs to wear, how she needs to look. Everything about her is authentic and real. Just listen to her music, Gene. Get lost in it.
I'm beginning to think this is a mutual business relationship because if you're her people, hey, at some point we got to get you a boyfriend. I don't want a boyfriend. All right, well, let's just kind of at least this will give you some exposure and we'll sell a bunch of whatever.
You know what she did? Now that I think about it, she did something last Sunday, and this is the Taylor Swift that I've experienced. What else happened last week on the NFL's schedule? They made an announcement, big announcement.
Oh, Usher.
They announced that Usher was going to perform the Super Bowl halftime show. Who has not done the Super Bowl halftime show? Taylor Swift. And who showed up at Arrowhead the weekend that they announced Usher? Who completely made Usher at the Super Bowl halftime an afterthought with one appearance? Thanos Swift showing up at Arrowhead completely made Usher disappear. That was on purpose. I promise you, that was a sign. That was a sign to Jay-Z and whoever books the Super Bowl. Like, oh, yeah, it's a big announcement, right? Watch what I can do. I'm just going to show up, and everybody's going to talk about me for the following week, and jersey sales are going to go through the roof, and your TV ratings are going to be higher than you could possibly imagine.
I think the reaction when we heard Usher is like, oh, okay.
Well, it would have been a lot hot. It would have been a lot louder if you didn't have Taylor Swift showing up at Arrowhead for the first time for an NFL game, and everybody, oh my God, Taylor's in the box. She's with Kelsey's mom. It's true. She leaves these little crumbs for her fans to follow along and little cryptic messages. It's like you're in Lord of the Rings with Taylor Swift and her Swifties.
So where does she sit? She's in a box at MetLife with who?
Again, it's Kelsey's mom again.
Mama Kelsey.
Yeah. She's got to give that impression that they're tight.
Now, we can't bet on this sort of stuff. 10
cutaways?
10 cutaways for Taylor. Is that
at least?
You would go over.
I would take the over on that. Absolutely. They're going to plaster her on their TV screens. Absolutely.
10 mentions for Collinsworth. Taylor. Taylor.
Yeah, I probably would take the over on that as well. Yeah. I'm not going to bet against Taylor Swift. I will not do it.
Good. That's just another reason why I don't need to tune in. I think that Sunday night is going to be marital maintenance night, Danger, like movie,
continuous
Netflix.
Negotiation.
Yeah, like we don't need to watch football. I don't need to watch the crummy Jets and Taylor Swift.
Yeah, well, look, her appearance will be a shot in the arm for the viewership. Millions of Swifties will be tuning in for Sunday Night Football just upon hearing the news that she'll be present at MetLife as her Chiefs and Travis Kelce take on the hapless Jets. No Aaron Rodgers, no problem. Taylor Swift to the rescue.
Oh, now Aaron Rodgers is going to want to show up on the sideline or something. Like, I need my time too here,
thirsty
yes.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he wasn't. Has Aaron Rodgers been around? No, he'll be there Sunday night. You watch.
Yeah, that's good. There you go. Some news and notes from the NFL. Appetizers in the sports bar. Happy hour coming up next. Our 5 o'clock hour features a round of shots and last call. You can join us at 866-4326, 866-4FAN here in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Everyone practicing for the Buffalo Bills today, with the exception of Jordan Poyer. He's got some knee soreness. Saran Neal and Ryan Bates were limited today. Ed Oliver wants his guys to be ready.
Not to try to make it anything more than what it is. It's just every man has their own job. Do your job. So my job is the key to guard. Whatever going on back there, that's not my job. So let's just make it as simple as it can. Like, everybody has their job, so do your job.
Tyler Bass today named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month for September. Week 4 of the NFL season beginning tonight. It's the Lions and the Packers in Green Bay. Sabres tonight, their third preseason game in 3 days. They're in Pittsburgh. The Arizona Diamondbacks losing to the White Sox today 3-1. Marlins and Cubs tiled for that final wild card in the National League. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Bills Dolphins on Sunday.
I don't think this is a Bills team that's scared of the Dolphins. We have a team that just dropped 70 points in an NFL game, and they're underdogs this week.
The Bills' defense is the hardest test for Miami, but Miami's offense is the hardest test for Buffalo so far this season.
You know, another one of the good young quarterbacks in the league, and it'll be a big challenge for us come Sunday.
If you can force him to come off his first read and hold the ball, it's a totally different ball game.
Mike Danger.
Tua's a record needle that's stuck in this groove right now. How do you jar him out of that groove? Make the record skip a beat.
For everybody going to the game for Bills Mafia, where's your contract?
It's going to be on a good defense. It's going to be on the Bills to change that narrative and then capitalize on those mistakes. Hopefully you can do that.
Gene Battaglia.
Oh, Sabres hockey.
Oh, who cares?
Thursday night football.
NFC North showdown between the Lions and Packers.
Braves All-Star Ronald Acuna Jr. became the first 40-70 player in Major League Baseball history last night.
The Cubs continue to suck after being good. And now Damian Lillard is a Milwaukee Buck.
Are you going to stay up until 1 a.m. and watch the Ryder Cup?
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
It's happy hour in the sports bar. Glad you're with us. Appreciate you listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Even if it's on your ride home for just a few minutes, we sound our best in the free-to-download Odyssey app. And our video stream is up. You can watch the sports bar at The Fan Rochester on YouTube and on Twitch. Danger here, Battaglia there. It's Thursday night. That means we've got some action, and this will be the last good Thursday night game we have for a while. So let's soak it all in. No, I can promise you next week is going to be a tough watch.
I know next week. I'm just hoping tonight is going to live up to, we think this will be a good game. Green Bay, where they're getting a little healthier. Christian Watson will be on a pitch count tonight. You get Aaron Jones back and Detroit going in there. And like, if Detroit this is going to be their division, you got to win in Green Bay here. So
I like Green Bay tonight.
I do too.
You do too.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I didn't know which direction you were leaning. There's a lot of love. There's been a lot of love on Detroit. A lot of love on Detroit. I still see a team, and I love Campbell. We love Campbell, but I still see a team that's kind of undisciplined, a little bit sloppy. And Jared Goff, for as good as his numbers may look, he's still prone to some really boneheaded mistakes. And I don't know if those warts are exposed tonight at Lambeau. Jordan Love has been good, not great. He's been good enough. And you are getting Christian Watson back. Presumably. You're getting Aaron Jones back. You're getting your full complement of weapons. Yeah, I think they're still kind of stinging from the way their season ended last year. The guy that probably cared the least about that loss is gone. Everybody else that's still there. Like, right. Oh, yeah, we remember how last season ended. And he's not here anymore. Let's get one, and let's get one against a divisional foe. Green Bay doesn't impress me to the point where I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a team that's a Super Bowl contender. Green Bay is good enough to win that division.
So we were joking how many times we're going to hear about Taylor Swift on Sunday Night Football. Does Al Michaels mention Taylor Swift tonight?
Oh.
Because Taylor Swift is in the news cycle, this is the last. Let me just get this out of the way while you think about this. Mark Cuban just went on ESPN and he cracked the joke. Hey, break up with Travis. I got a bunch of good-looking single guys that play for the Dallas Mavericks. I got you. Travis Kelce then responding, on X, just sign me to a 10-day. being a 10-day contract.
Everybody wants their hooks into Taylor. Everybody. Get your meat hooks off of America's sweetheart, Cuban. She belongs to a Kelsey now. This is an all-American couple. We can't just be happy that they're together and they're in love and they just live their life with this exuberance, this youthful exuberance. Why can't we just be happy for? Why does everything have to be about the business of Taylor Swift?
What makes this story so not believable is that Travis Kelce was just sitting on his couch one day and just you know what, I'd like to date her, and just making it happen that way rather than how most of us should meet somebody.
It was a story that Andy Reid actually knew the Swift family, and that Andy Reid could have actually played a little matchmaker here as well.
Because then she grew up outside of Philadelphia.
That's right.
From wealth. Put that in there.
What?
Yeah, so the father was a stockbroker.
They were a Christmas tree farm. They had a Christmas tree farm, I thought. That's where she grew up. Oh, he was a stockbroker and on the side a Christmas tree farm?
Yeah, we saw that house.
Yeah. Oh, you saw? Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised by that, Gene. I didn't know that, really. I couldn't have imagined that was her upbringing and that's how she came about, because everything about her is pure and wholesome and she did it the right way, and it's all genuine. All of it genuine and authentic. All of it. Does Al mention her tonight? Al is so crotchety. Like, if I sound crotchety right now, Al is king crotchety. He's probably so and I know that there are people listening right now like, who cares? Who cares about any of what you're talking about? About
who cares?
About her showing up on Sunday, or about Cuban and it's sports. It's all sports. Cuban is a sports owner. Kelsey plays tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to talk about this because I do think, in a weird way, it can affect the outcome of games. I was only half joking earlier when I asked Andy Behrens if Travis Kelce should be a bet that we place for more than one touchdown on Sunday. If she's in the box and it's a nationally televised game, you don't think there's a little bit more pressure to get Kelce the ball, to get Kelce another touchdown?
Well, we're not that far off. Why might he talk about it? Well, coming up on Thursday, October 12th, we'll be on in Kansas City for our game against the Broncos. You know what? That game is not going to be good, but we could have.
All right, so I'll say, what do they do? Probably 2 promos for that. Well, no, they wouldn't do it this week. Well, they'll do promos for next week, twice during a game? Once in the first half, maybe once in the second half. So I'll say that one of those 2 gets a Taylor Swift mention. I'll say one will be his mention of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, it's only 2 weeks out here.
Yeah, just one mention.
Oh, jeez. Good God. Good grief. Could we make an easier schedule for these guys? Vikings. I'm looking at this. Broncos, Chargers. Ooh, Broncos again. Ooh. Yeah, enjoy the number 1 seed, Kansas City.
Yeah, not so fast. Let's get through this weekend and see what it looks like. You know what? It's Thad did a good job of bringing me back down to earth, because I'm already looking and trying to project what Week 18 looks like, and there's so much that can happen between now and then. And even a loss by the Bills on Sunday might not mean as much as we think it does on Monday, when you factor in how much time is left in the NFL and how quickly things change in the NFL.
Like anything else, if this is it's the way. If it's Tua and the Dolphins kicking a field goal at the end, we'll be like, damn. If it's Josh imploding week 1, bad Josh reappearing, then I'm going head to head, and I don't have any indication that'll be the case. But you never know when bad Josh will. Then we're really having questions on Monday.
Yeah. The Bills were on the practice field today. The injury report starting to trend in the right direction, with one exception.
It's a big exception. Jordan Poyer, knee soreness. And when we talked to Thad Brown, he kind of affirmed my theory here, which is Jordan Poyer just doesn't look like that safety anymore, and he's had some plays where you're like, that's not it. And now you're going up against the speediest team in recent memory.
We've been talking all week about whether or not the Bills should make Kaiir Elam active on Sunday because of the game, that his style of play, and why it might be a better matchup. Thad kind of shot that down, and I don't disagree with what Thad had to say. I will say this, given what we know about Poyer's health, his lack of ability and availability this week, this might be the first game we actually see Damar Hamlin made active on a Sunday. Would that surprise you?
Who's faster at this point?
Well,
It might be Hamlin,
but you
right?
also have, I mean, look, Poyer is held together now with paper clips and bubble gum. We know that. And Micah Hyde's dealing with his own stuff too. He's got a hamstring that he's dealing with, right? I mean, like so just out of an abundance of caution, wouldn't you think that it would make sense to maybe make him active, and you could see a secondary by the time it's done on Sunday of Rapp and Hamlin if both of those guys are kind of like, you're going to have to drag them off the field. They're warriors, but if they're a liability because of their injuries, I would say that you would probably want to do that, wouldn't you?
Oh, well, let's see. So far Hamlin has not been there, and we haven't really seen from Rapp after that hit against Devontae Adams, the past week. But all of a sudden that position doesn't look. We were like, oh, you got Taylor Rapp, the future's all set. Hamlin coming back. It's like, that's my fear is that the Bills' safeties are going to get exposed in this game.
We'll have the kickoff for you at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Pre-game gets underway 9 a.m. on Sunday morning here on the Fan Rochester. And we're, again, allowed to look ahead. The Bills don't look ahead. But next week is the London game. What time is our pre-game start for the London game?
Well, let's put, if it's a 9:30 a.m. kickoff, that would be 5 a.m.?
We're going to go with the 6 a.m. pre-game.
Oh.
On Sunday.
Are we?
Yeah.
So is Joe Capagreco here 4 a.m.?
I don't know. I don't know if we're taking a week off of Italian. These are burning questions. I know. The Italian Carousel loyalists want to know right now, where am I going to get the latest soccer scores from Italy?
Who's in charge of telling Joe Capagreco? Because it's not you or me. It's like he's going to show up not knowing there's ability. Like, what? All
right, so here's the plan. Joe Capagreco during commercial break breaks in with Italian Carousel, and we'll do a hybrid, a mashup. It'll be Bills pregame, Italian Carousel style.
Here's some TD Bianchi on the Italian Carousel,
and then you go, hey, look, we got Sal Capaccio. Hey, Sal Capaccio. We got some, we got some flavor. We can get some. We can do a little hybrid. Italian Carousel Bills pregame for the London game. Yeah, that's coming up next weekend here on the Fan.
Yeah, enjoy this last 1 o'clock kickoff game. It might very well be the last 1 o'clock kickoff game you have this year.
But what a way to go out. What are we seeing? Sunny and 75. Perfect afternoon in Orchard Park.
Get out there early. That's my advice. Enjoy it. Soak every second you can. Includes you, Danger. I'm talking to you specifically.
Oh, I'm ready to get out there early. Yeah. I'm planning on leaving around 7:30 at the latest. You leave around, what, 8 o'clock to get to the press box?
Listen, I used to leave like 9:45, and I'm like, nope, let's just get up there, and you can do work from wherever. So, yeah, I'm out at the door at 8 o'clock.
My daughter wants to go to her first Bills game. This will be her first Bills game. So I'm excited for her to experience this because the game is big. It's going to be a beautiful day. We're not going to have to deal with the elements that a lot of games you have to deal with, a lot of home games that you have to deal with, and it kind of makes it memorable but also miserable at the same time. And so all she's really concerned about is, what am I going to wear? I need to get some Bills gear. What am I going to wear? What am I going to wear? Whereas I'm concerned with, all right, how much before the game can I actually expose her to? And I've gotten the direct messages from everybody about, take her to this tailgate, take her to that tailgate. The ketchup and mustard ceremony is on. Pinto Ron is going to be there and get doused. And it's all happening. If you want to be a part of it, it's all happening. And I'm going to tell you this now. I'm going to do everything I can to make as many of the rounds as I can and see as many tailgates as I can before kickoff.
So what you need to do then is, people aren't going to know you. You're on the radio. They don't know what you look like. Wear the Bears Peterman jersey.
Not happening. I've already made up my mind. I'll get some Bills gear. I'm going to go find a Steph Diggs jersey. I'm going to wear
it. I want people saying, "Oh, there's Mike Danger."
You know what? There'll be enough friendly and familiar faces and regulars that listen to the sports bar that may or may not recognize me. I'm not going to be going incognito. So when you see me with my 19-year-old daughter and we're both wearing our Bills jerseys that look fresh and new because we just bought them the night before, then you'll know, like, oh, that's Danger. That's Danger and his daughter. And you know what? We'll be making the rounds. I want her to take it all in. She's not about the debauchery. She's not about the tailgate. She's not about the party. That's not that's not her personality. That's not really. She's more like her. She's more like her mother in that way.
You do your own tailgate thing. Just get a cart table, and then don't jump through it certainly. But you're just making a little few snacks there, some drinks for yourself. You got that little tiny grill. I know you were doing. Did you throw that out? Because that's perfect.
No,
for
it's
this.
my camping grill. Yeah, my little camping hibachi grill. Yeah. Or maybe or maybe I'll smoke something on the egg the night before, and just bring it with. Don't have to cook anything. Just smoke something and then carve it up. It's not a bad idea, Gino. Got a tray of pulled pork. Make pulled pork sliders or pulled pork sandwiches before.
You got to get some folding chairs though. You got to just kind of hang out.
Oh yeah, no question. No question. I'm equipped for a tailgate. I'm just not. I'm more interested in taking in all of the excitement for her. It's been a while since I've been to a Bills game. I know what goes on. She doesn't. So I want her to be able to check it all out.
Do you stay till the end? I know people, like my friend Norm over at Fisher, regardless of the game, they'll leave with like 5 minutes to go just to beat the traffic, which that's a big thing. If you don't do... See, like on a day like Sunday, I think if you weren't taking your daughter, that'd be the perfect day to do the post-tailgate. Hang out after.
Oh, for sure.
Punch up whatever game and let the traffic kind of go through, and then you're watching football after, and you get home by 7 o'clock.
For sure. Yeah, that would be a good plan. I'm going to be open on that one, Gino, because I've cleared the schedule. Sunday is free and clear. I've got all my responsibilities out of the way. And so Sunday, it's going to be all about going to the game, all about taking in the Bills and the Dolphins, all about showing my daughter what the NFL experience is all about from a Buffalo point of view. And I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And I'm hoping that the outcome of the game is great, because I don't want anybody to tell my daughter that she's a bad luck charm. Because I know how everybody is.
Well, it's exciting because
you're not allowed to come to any more games.
I can tell you the first time I went to a Rochester Red Wing game. I could tell you the first time I went to a Bills game. Same thing with you. Like, you remember the first time. Everything else after that kind of blurs together. So,
Peter bringing up a good question here in the sports bar, and you can reach out to us on X at the Fan Rochester. As a #GirlDad, what's the best age to take your daughter to a Buffalo Bills game? To the chagrin of this Jets fan, it's coming down the line. Peter, I've heard, and you know, Duffy and I were having a conversation. He brings his daughters. His daughters are, you know, teenage. He's got a teenager, and I think that one that's just right under that preteen level, and he's brought them both to Bills games.
Yeah,
it's completely up to you. I mean, you could probably bring your 12-year-old, your 10-year-old, your 14-year-old, your 15-year-old. My daughter didn't really express any interest in going to a Bills game until just recently, when she heard other people who are more influential in her life than me talk about how much they would like to go to an NFL game, which made her think, hey, wait a minute, why haven't I gone to a Bills game? And for me, it's like, I'm not going to push the issue. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go.
Well, I think what one thing has happened, Peter, if I can answer this, if it was like 10 years ago, I would say you're crazy for a 12-year-old. Why? Well, there used to be a lot more fights. I mean, and I think what has happened is because the team is good, people are dialed in, and because the team is good, you have people paying more money. And with all that, you're kind of weeding some people out. I'm just being honest. I don't see as many fights. It was crazy, some of those games, particularly in cold weather games. People would just go so smash. I'm like, no way, no how. There was a Kids' Day game I saw a fight. True story. I'm like, not that it doesn't go on, but I think it's much less. So to answer your question, Peter, what would you tolerate to let your little one see? Well, you're going to see drunken behavior. Let's kind of like, what does that mean? Okay, somebody throwing up, somebody saying something sexist, somebody like
emerging from a porta potty covered in their own feces, scaling a fence.
That I don't think you would normally
high
see.
On cocaine and LSD, scaling a fence and falling down into an open pit where a new stadium is being constructed. That's possible. Your 12-year-old could see that on a Sunday in Orchard Park.
I will say this, though. The worst fan base, sorry, Peter, it's the Jets. And I think it's a lot of the UB kids or whatever. Those are the ones that you always see, kind of the Jet fan in Buffalo, my opinion, not Danger's opinion. That's always the one where I'm like,
Interesting. Yeah, I hear a lot of bad things about Eagles fans, that Eagles fans are terrible. I would put Patriots fans above Eagles. I think the Patriots might be the worst fan base. Just kind of entitled, spoiled, angry, delusional.
As far as what I see, the Eagles come through, how many years? It's hard to kind of say. I think there were more kind of fights and that sort of thing with Jet fans as opposed to Patriot fans.
Interesting. Well, Peter, I don't know what I don't know if we answered your question, and I think it matters. I think it varies from kid to kid. My kid just never really was expressed an interest in wanting to go until she heard it from other people. Like, wait, you've never been to a Bills game? Go to a Bills game. What's wrong with you? So when she heard it from people that have more influence in her life than me, it's funny. Raising these girls, I know I'm an influence on their life, but in terms of getting them to do right versus wrong, but in terms of getting them to do things that I think are fun, no interest at all. Zero interest, zero influence, unless they hear it from an influencer or somebody that is more influential than their own dad. It's kind of a sad state, but looking forward to Sunday, Peter, and appreciate you tweeting us at The Fan Rochester. 866-4326 is our phone number. 585-866-4FAN if you want to join us. Talk to Thad Brown from News 8 Sports last hour. Andy Behrens gave us some fantasy football advice from Yahoo Fantasy in the 3 o'clock hour. Both of those conversations are available for you now wherever you get your podcasts. Just search out the Sports Bar. That includes the free-to-download Odyssey app. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google, wherever you get your favorite shows. You'll find not only our guest appearances, but our full shows available for you wherever you get your podcasts. And while we're talking about all the different ways you can consume the Sports Bar, check out the video stream. And don't forget to like, follow, or subscribe on Twitch, on YouTube, at The Fan Rochester.
Our phone number, 866-4326. We always have time for you. We always have time for Mike in Sodas Bay. What's going on, Mike?
There's our guy.
Hey, guys, how are you?
What's up, Mike? How's the view?
Oh, the view is gorgeous. And Danger, I'm calling as the only Reds fan that listens to the show.
Oh, boy.
Talk about your Cubs. My brother-in-law is a Cubs fan, too, and we've just been looking at the schedule, and we just can't see how you guys can't win this thing, how you aren't going to the playoffs.
Well, it's Milwaukee. I mean, you have Milwaukee.
So here's why I think you're wrong about Milwaukee.
Tell me.
Milwaukee's already won, and they've already clinched their spot. They get nothing out of it.
They don't have anything to play for. Yeah, okay.
Nothing to play for,
except that except that these teams hate each other. But go ahead.
Oh, they do, and the fan bases don't like each other either. But here's the deal: if you're the Brewers, right now you're slotted to play Milwaukee in the first round. So you don't want your relievers seeing too much of them.
Oh, so if you're the if you're the Cubs, you mean you're slated to see Milwaukee in the first round?
Correct.
Gotcha.
And so you don't want the Cubs to get used to those relief pitchers and feel comfortable against them. So really, I think the Brewers aren't going to pitch.
All right. Now you've got me. Now, Mike, you're talking way too much sense, and now I might just have to jump on FanDuel and just see what the odds are for the Cubs to make the postseason.
Honestly, I think if you have an opportunity to smoke out the Cubs, you do it. You're not letting the Cubs in.
I'm looking now.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Mike, but
I mean, go ahead.
Maybe, and also, the Pirates have played everybody tough all year, so it's not like they're going to give the Marlins a freebie.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, what I'm telling Danger is Houston, they are hanging by a thread too. They need to beat Arizona. Even though Arizona was a game and a half up, I could see Houston sweeping Arizona, and then problem solved. Both the Marlins and the Cubs get in.
Well, somehow I want the Reds to get in there.
Now you're talking crazy, Bun. You had your chance. You were up. You were up 9-0. 9-0. You were up against the Pirates.
I know. We lost 2 of 3 at home to the Pirates, and I should just be thankful that for 159 games we've been talking about the playoffs, and we're not out of it yet.
Yeah.
And we have no pitching left. I mean, we might as well just put the ball on a tee. But
that's your owner not helping you out there too, Mike. Thanks for the call.
Not at all.
Appreciate you, bud. Mike in Sodas Bay. What's the odds there?
I can't find it. I don't think it's being offered. I mean, there are World Series odds, there are league winner odds for the Cubs to win. I'm sorry, that's the American League. Let me see here. For the Cubs to win the National League right now, they are at plus 4,600 to win the National League. Yeah. That would be the only bet that I could make on them. In the postseason.
So they got to get through Milwaukee to get through to Los Angeles to get through to Atlanta. No, keep your $10.
Yeah.
Jim calling in from where are you calling from, Jim?
Rochester.
Hey, Jim.
Jim, what's going on, buddy?
All right, so you're going to this game with your daughter. You're a huge radio star. You don't have to bring any food. You can walk around and say who you are, like Pinto Ron. They'll feed you.
Yeah.
You'll have a blast. You're it. Your daughter will love it because you'll get all this free food and just you're going to have a blast.
So yeah, what you're suggesting is I should wear a jersey with my name on the nameplate like a dork. I'm not doing that. Nobody's going to recognize me.
Danger, 95.7.
Not happening. Not happening.
All right, I'll give you one quick story. My son is 29. He lives in San Diego right now.
Yeah.
So when he was a little kid, I kind of made him a Bills fan, and then he became a Vikings fan because his cousin was a Vikings fan, lived in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And then he kind of got away from football. He moves all the way to San Diego. He finds a Bills backer bar 3 blocks from his house. He is the biggest Bills fan ever now.
Yeah.
I went there last year just to see a game. 2 stories packed with Bills fans. They were playing the Dolphins, and it was insane. They do a beer chugging contest. They get Labatt's Blue and Blue Light shipped in, chicken wings. It was the best time I had in my life, and it was 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I tell you what, John, I'm going to do for my daughter what my dad wasn't able to do for me. I'm going to let her be a fan of whatever team she chooses. She's going to fall in love with the Bills on Sunday. I'm convinced she's going to be a Bills fan moving forward. And I will have done for her what my father did. He cursed me with this Bears fandom. I don't want to be a Bears fan anymore, but it's in my DNA. I can't get rid of it. For her, growing up here and having the Bills in her backyard, I'm convinced that come Monday, she's infatuated with the Bills. She's a Bills fan through and through. That's my hope, at least.
Yeah, you got to give them rope. You got to let them make their own decision. And, that's kind of a cool story that, it's a part of home, too. I miss home. I miss the Bills. You don't want to be a Viking fan. It's a misery.
My son came home for opening day because my friend had season tickets, and she sold them to my kid. He went to the game. He had a blast. And my father's 91. He's a Giants fan. And he looks at me, and then that wide right, he brings it up still to this day. Wide right. I'm like, really, Dad? You're still bringing this up to me?
He'll bring it up to you with his last breath, man. 91. That's an unbelievable run. Congratulations on that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I love your show, guys.
Thanks,
love your show.
Appreciate you. Thanks for calling us. 866-4326. You can join us for last call here on the Sports Bar as well.
See, I did that with my son, Kyle, give him enough rope, and he, Bills fan, Sabres fan, was cheering for the Mets, and no, he can't do it. So it took 2 or 3.
Who did he convert to?
The Jays.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But you partially influenced that as well
by
you brought
accident.
him.
I went to the game in Buffalo, and they have
to
a
see
fun
the Jays and Shohei this summer too.
Exactly.
So he's seeing more Jays games than he's seeing Mets games.
Right. And the Mets are kind of embarrassing.
Yeah,
so,
I get it. Appreciate that, John. Thanks for the call. We'll get the last call here in a little bit. A round of shots on the way next in the Sports Bar.
Yeah, we will give you what's been happening with the Sabres. Go over to that. Some history made in Atlanta last night. The Ryder Cup. Boy, it's funny how these individual golfers, now that they're on a team, they don't know the team rules. Wyndham Clark running his mouth.
Wyndham Clark,
yes.
Very uncouth of him.
And an update on Tyreek Hill, because he was asked about these post-career NFL career plans he wants to make.
All right, we'll get into that as well. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. Right now, if you're a new customer, you can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. Check out FanDuel.com/Mike, M-I-K-E. $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. Now, if you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, join me now. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. That site again, FanDuel.com/Mike, to kick off the NFL season and get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms or see terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. You get this one for free. For help with a gambling problem, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite teams from across the country.
Sports Update.
Bills getting healthier. Most of the players practicing today. One notable exception, Jordan Poyer. He's got some knee soreness. Saran Neal, Ryan Bates today were limited. Linebacker Terrell Bernard knows the Dolphins are a big test.
They got a great offense, obviously, explosive at all levels. They got guys that can score anytime they touch the ball. They want to get their guys open in space and, create mismatches and things like that. So we'll do, what we need to do this week to prepare for that.
Tyler Bass named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month for September. We'll have the pregame coverage Sunday beginning at 9 a.m. here on the Sports Leader. Week 4 of the NFL season beginning tonight. A decent one in Green Bay. It's the Lions and the Packers. Sabres tonight playing in Pittsburgh. Gene Battaglia, the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Straight up with no chaser. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, I would say clarity and confidence. Those are two things that I feel like throughout the summer, throughout OTAs, throughout training camp, that was, a couple of things that I've worked on is just being, more confident in myself and more confident that I know what I'm doing. I know the defense. I know what the coaches want us in. So I think those two things really, kind of trickle back to, being an effective communicator.
Is Terrell Bernard becoming a star before our very eyes? Yeah, they're putting him in front of the media. He's answering questions.
As they should. He was the player of the week.
Yeah.
And Thad Brown brought up a good point. It's like, were the Bills fan base, were the coaches surprised by this? Well, they had this competition all summer long, and so it's exceeding expectation.
Let's get to a round of shots in the Sports Bar.
UPL stopping 25 of 28 through 2 periods of work. The Sabres come up on the short end of Toronto, 5-2. This was the game in the 2,200-seat rink.
I tuned it in last night, by the way.
How did it come across?
Looked terrible. I'm sorry. I get that you're in the NHL, and a big part of hockey is the heritage of playing in a small barn or an outdoor rink, and all of that is fine. It just doesn't look good on TV. It looked like I was watching a college game. Not even a college game.
No, it's not.
It didn't.
Yeah.
It didn't have any vibe, any atmosphere. I thought it sucked.
Yeah, it's let's take a big paycheck from the Fortune 500 company and put it out. Sidebar, can we get a game back here in Rochester ever again? Please?
Well, it won't look good on TV, I can tell you that.
Sure it would.
Well, here it would look okay, yes.
Well,
but if you do this Hockeyville, whatever promotion that they're doing, it just doesn't look. And they had it. They were simulcasting on an NHL network as well. So it's just this is an NHL deal, and I wasn't into it. Not at all.
Would we draw 5,000 for Sabres Bruins here?
For a preseason game?
Preseason game.
Yeah, I think you would.
Yeah, I think so too.
5,000, I think it's safe.
Yeah, I think, after we haven't had it for, 10 years here. House Cat, Michael Hauser came in the third period. He stopped 11 of 13. Tonight, they play again. This is the third game in 3 nights. They're in Pittsburgh. There is no TV tonight, but you can watch it for free on the stream on Sabres.com. The regular season, believe it or not, opens 2 weeks from tonight.
That'll be excited for. That, I know, will look and feel different. But preseason hockey, man, and especially when it's being played in a small barn like it was last night, not it.
Rank preseason sports. I would put baseball number 1 just because, hey, this is spring and this is how it looks and it's fun to go down there. And then everything else is like, bleh.
Yeah, am I a bad sports fan that I've never taken in spring training?
No, you're going to be living in Florida someday. Hopefully, you go over there at some point.
I've been around. I remember vacationing one year in Florida when the Phillies were in Clearwater. That their base is in Clearwater. They were there when I was there, but I didn't take in any games. And God knows I've been to Orlando a handful of times with the Yankees complex down there outside of Disney. I haven't gone to any of their spring training games either.
I've been to 2. I've been to Legends Field, and I've been to Joker Marchant Stadium. That's Lakeland, Florida, the Tigers. Just happened to be there.
Okay.
Pretty good time. Ronald Acuna Jr., the Braves, became the first guy ever to get to 40-70. That's 40 home runs, 70 steals. Consider there was never a 40-60 guy or even a 40-50 guy prior to this year. The Cubs blew another lead Sorry.
Yeah.
Atlanta clinching the number 1 seed and the home field advantage that comes with it. As a result, the Marlins pulling dead even with the Cubs for the final wild card. Miami tonight at Citi Field. The Cubs finishing out their series with the Braves. And if you're looking at the final weekend danger, you got to say it's advantage Miami. The Marlins play at Pittsburgh. Chicago heads to Milwaukee. Now, Arizona did lose to the White Sox today. So Arizona is just a game and a half ahead. And Arizona... Look, they finish out at home against Houston. Houston needs to win their games to clinch a spot.
Yeah, Mike and Sotis has me feeling a little bit better about their chances. He was trying to talk some sense into me. How can they not lose? If you're the Cubs, you would have to play Milwaukee.
Milwaukee wants to rest players.
Milwaukee wants to. They don't have anything to play for. They don't want to show anything of their bullpen. Blah blah blah. All of that is fine and good. I hate how they've collapsed down the stretch here, and I'm not going to hold my breath. Vegas is telling me that the chances are they're not going to make the postseason. I'll listen to that and follow that for now, and I hope I'm pleasantly surprised.
And even if they do get in, sorry, it's
probably going to be tough.
Yeah. The betting favorite for the upcoming NBA season has changed. It's now Milwaukee. Following the trade for Dame time, the Bucks went from plus 650 to plus 375, jumping Denver. Denver has been consistently a plus 425 the whole way. Next are Boston and Phoenix at plus 500. Golden State trying to squeeze out one more. They check in at plus 1,000. Here's a fun fact about this trade. Damian Lillard last year for Portland averaged 32 points a game. That's the most ever for a player to change teams the following year.
I think that's probably the biggest reason why you saw that number jump, right? If you had to take one of those teams that you just mentioned with the odds given, which one do you like the best?
Boston
at plus 500?
Just because the West is so tough. Maybe Denver, but I don't think Phoenix is constructed.
Phoenix are frauds.
And Golden State, I'm sorry, they're just
too old.
Yeah, too old.
Yeah, it's still Denver for me. I would still take Denver at plus 425. I would take that.
Well, if it's not Milwaukee in the East, who?
Well, if it's not Milwaukee in the East, then it would be Boston, I would say. But I still think Denver, I like Denver to win it all. If you're asking me right now, the move to get Dame helps Milwaukee, and Vegas likes it.
No, but I want to go home. No parade. I want to go home.
That's my guy. That's my guy.
Win this parade? No.
No, I want to go home. I will break you. He's Ivan Drago on a basketball court. What's not to love?
If you want to watch the beginning of the Ryder Cup, 1:30 a.m., that's coming up. Wyndham Clark, the United States, grabbed everyone's attention with these comments saying European players would be leaking oil and mentally fatigued by Sunday. Wyndham Clark, wasn't he the character in Trading Places that Aykroyd played?
Looking good, Wyndham. Feeling good, Billy Ray. Enjoy the Ryder Cup.
Wyndham. A fan with his pet alligator denied entry into last night's Phillies game. The fan is Joey Henry, who happens to be an alligator expert. Wally the alligator is a registered emotional support animal. Yeah. Wally is not any regular gator, mind you. He's been on Disney Plus and CBS This Morning. Yeah. His behavior is kind, Mike Danger. He does not bite or grab at humans. Some Philly fans recognized Wally the gator last night, one going as so far to hug him.
Yeah, keep the alligators out of the public settings. I get it. Emotional support animal, fine. Don't bring them into a ballpark because gators are going to go gator at some point. I don't care that he's... Look, your dog could be the most docile, sweet, loving dog. It's still a wild animal, and dogs will go dog from time to time. You've seen it. I've seen it. We all know it could happen.
There are certain animals that if I see I'm walking the other way, that
snakes.
Would be
get me away. Scotty Karate, if you're listening, pal, I know you've got a thing. You love your snakes. You love your snakes as your pets. All fine, all good. You do you. Keep those things away from me. Nope.
Not happening. Nope. Finally, following up on the story on Tyreek Hill, went on the stream of Bucs receiver Mike Adams. Sorry, this story is going to be a little blue. Hill saying that his post-NFL plans were to get into adult entertainment. Says he's dead serious about that. Well, apparently somebody got to Tyreek Hill, Mike Danger. His quotes yesterday, a lot of teammates are hating on me right now. I was joking. I was definitely joking. That's something I just don't want to do.
Yeah.
Tyreek, listen, man, you can make a lot of money doing that. Yeah. Just retire now and go live your best life.
Right. Yeah, retire before Sunday if possible. And, get on a plane, land in Hollywood. bright-eyed and ready to go, ready to get to work. They'll find you. You can find work, Tyreek. They'll put you to work. You want to do it? Go get them, pal. Go get into that industry, and do it before Sunday if at all possible. Let's get to last call here in the Sports Bar. You can join us at 866-4326, 866-4FAN. If you want to pull up a stool as we utter the most dangerous words in sports talk radio, we go to the phones next on the Fan Rochester. Get ready to start the NFL week off right tonight, because right now all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay for tonight's Thursday night football game. Just place a 3-leg same-game parlay on this week's game between the Lions and Packers. You'll get bonus bets back if you don't win. It's Mike Danger for FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 95.7 The Fan. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. You can build your own, or you can choose from one of the popular same-game parlays that are pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. Just visit FanDuel.com/Mike, and you don't miss out on your chance there to get a no-sweat same-game parlay on America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 plus and physically present in New York. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com for help with a gambling problem. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Odyssey has sports for every fan. Keep up with your favorite team.
On the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I'd say we all feed off each other as a D-line. Like, all of us, when we're out there, we go hard. There's no drop-off from one person to the next. We all got that same kind of like blood flowing through our veins, just the way we play and the way we try to get after it and the way we try to help our team out, like do our 111th and also just try to do a little bit more. We all got that same go mindset.
Bills pass rusher, Greg Rousseau. I have a feeling we might see Greg Rousseau lining up in the middle of that defensive line a little bit this weekend.
Well, I would think that that's the way you got to come right, kind of like Brady was, because Brady was so quick, and that's how the Giants got to him. Was they only didn't blitz? They only sent 4, and it was the guys up the middle, Justin Tuck, and they're just going right up the middle. So could you imagine Ed Oliver and Greg Rousseau going right up the middle hole?
That would be fun.
But Daquan Jones has been good too.
Been really good.
Yeah.
Don't know how you get him off the field. He's been awesome. Yeah, well, I guess they could hurt you then if they get around the edge with that speed. We are in last call here on the Sports Bar at 866-4326. You can also reach out to us on X and Twitter at The Fan Rochester. Mike tweeting, I'm not denying that boy wonder McDaniel is a good coach, but is he really the first coach to consider having a lot of really fast guys on offense? Well, that was always the Raiders, right? That was always Al Davis' thing. I'm going to draft the fastest guys.
Willie Gold.
Right. Yeah. But the thing, Mike, about McDaniel, and I've been saying this all week, I think it's a byproduct of the Shanahan coaching tree, and that it's more than just having the fast guys on the field. It's really knowing the strengths and weaknesses of each player and putting each player in their best position to win. We all recognize what Tua is. He's a one-read quarterback that's better suited, not throwing the ball 20 yards downfield where he becomes a liability, or making that second read. And because of that, McDaniel has made it so that he doesn't have to.
Nothing really changes. Like when we were growing up, it was the West Coast offense. And what was that? Hey, get the ball out quick. We're throwing it to a spot. Tua's throwing it to a spot.
Right.
He can, and the one thing about Tua, he can read defenses pretty well. So those work, but yeah, so cannot wait.
Zach Gelb Show next. Back tomorrow starting at 3 on The Fan Rochester.
Odyssey has